If you like the story, you can support the author on Patreon. Link is in the description.
Chapter 101. In the year 27 of Konoha, a revolutionary storm that would sweep across the ninja world quietly began to form in the land of whirlpools. However, very few people still understood what kind of impact this reform in the land of whirlpools would bring to the ninja world. Because the one nation one village system was established by the god of shinobi, a great policy that ended the warring states period of the ninja world. No matter which hidden village or which country, none of them believed that the land of whirlpools, by not establishing a hidden village, would pose any threat to them. Shinobi were the mainstream of this world. Kirigakure, Hokage's office. Land of whirlpools. The Tsuchikage frowned as he read the report submitted by the shinobi sent to observe the land of whirlpools. Red regime. What the hell was this? A country without a hidden village was basically easy prey. It wasn't as if such countries didn't exist in the ninja world, but they were all. In that case, why was the land of whirlpools abandoning Uzumaki? Were they planning to give up their independent regime to seek protection from Konoha? Otherwise, keep a close eye on Konoha and the land of whirlpools, Yuki Kioi said to the envoy below. Report immediately if there are any developments. Yes. No matter what. They absolutely could not give Konoha a chance to grow stronger. Kirigakure had to catch up. Opportunity, Yuki Kioi sighed. Where is Kirigakure's chance to grow stronger? Because of the First War, Kirigakure's finances were still depleted and had only just recovered. But if they wanted to catch up to Konoha, the victorious nation, it still wasn't enough. How is the Jinkraki project progressing? Kioi asked the new Tsuchikage advisor beside him. The Jinkraki is crucial for us. Without a Jinkraki, Kirigakure would have even less chance of catching up. There has been some progress, the Tsuchikage advisor said with a frown. But the sacrifices have been. Yuki Kioi waved his hand. These sacrifices are necessary. Have the sealing team continue. No matter what, they must succeed. Peace would not last long. Land of whirlpools. After the speech, the citizens of the land of whirlpools threw themselves into production and construction with excitement. As for Uzumaki Jun, establishing the land of whirlpools official merchant fleet is a task that must be completed now, Uzumaki Jun said to the high-ranking officials of the land of whirlpools. And now, there's no need to do it secretly anymore. Now, he had truly reached the level of a kage. Whether it was chakra attributes, ninjutsu, or taijutsu, Uzumaki Jun could now confidently say that he was the strongest in this era. Of course, excluding Madara, who could crush cage-level opponents like dogs. And Madara was already old now. Yes. Gato nodded. As the Minister of Commerce, foreign trade was his responsibility, so this task fell to him. Other things are manageable, but salt. Uzumaki Jun thought for a moment. Sell the technology. Someone in the ninja world would inevitably discover the method of producing sea salt. This technique couldn't be kept secret for long. In that case, it was better to sell it for money. Besides, the common people of this era were too poor. There wasn't much profit to be made from them. In that case, Gato frowned. We can only sell it to coastal countries. That's up to you, Uzumaki Jun said. As long as we don't suffer losses. As for the Science Institute, Grand Elder, I'll leave it to you. No problem, the Grand Elder nodded. They had already been conducting research, and now it was just a matter of formalizing it. Not just technology, but agricultural development must also be researched. See if we can develop a high-yield crop. Crops, the Grand Elder frowned. They had no experience in this area. They didn't even know where to start. Sigh, seeing the Grand Elder's expression, Uzumaki Jun sighed inwardly. Biological talent. The land of whirlpools was lacking in all kinds of talent. He wondered if Hirako had defected yet. Last time he went to Konoha, he didn't see the Sunin or Hirako. If he had defected, perhaps the land of whirlpools could gain a real technical expert. Try it first. If it doesn't work, we'll think of another way, Uzumaki Jun said. With the population growing, land and food were critical. For now, they could only exchange some farming techniques, such as paddy fields, composting, deep planting, and so on. As for Kakuzu, the current national funds. Kakuzu, hearing the question directed at him, rolled his eyes and said helplessly, are almost empty. Even my personal savings are gone. Uzumaki Jun laughed awkwardly. Of course, he knew the situation. He quickly turned to Gato. Gato nodded helplessly. I'll try to get some funds flowing back as soon as possible. In that case, the next step is the 3-year development plan, Uzumaki Jun said, seeing that everyone was already familiar with their tasks. In the next 3 years, the Land of Whirlpools has 3 goals. First, establish the first affiliated elementary school of the Land of Whirlpools, Uzumaki Jun said. Ensure that all children of the right age can attend school. Divide it into combat and science tracks. For the science track, the Science Research Institute will have to work hard. Since the mainstream was still shinobi and ninjutsu, the Land of Whirlpools currently lacked talent in this area. They could only rely on the elders for now. Second, the official establishment of the Land of Whirlpools Welfare Institution. Mom will be in charge of this, Uzumaki Jun said, looking at his mother. If you need anything, ask Dad. Dad had almost become a construction fanatic. He didn't even attend meetings anymore, focusing solely on leading the people in national construction. Uzumaki Myron clenched her fists and nodded with narrowed eyes, indicating she understood. Every day for the past while, he had come home drunk. It was time to properly. Third, the distribution of national ID cards, Uzumaki Jun said. Each team leader will be responsible for their own squad. Those who meet the requirements can become citizens of the Land of Whirlpools. This was going to be a troublesome task. In a society that hadn't yet entered the information age, any tedious task was not simple. Make sure there are no mistakes. And if spies are discovered, tie them up and make them pave roads. Well, that's about it, Uzumaki Jun thought for a moment. There didn't seem to be anything else to add. With that, the first plenary session of the First National Congress is officially adjourned. As for anything missed, they could always add it later. Everyone, go and handle your respective tasks. Yes. Uzumaki Jun watched as the high-ranking officials left the conference room and rubbed his temples. Managing a country was indeed not easy. Everything was still in the exploratory stage. What a headache! Suddenly, Uzumaki Jun opened his closed eyes and narrowed them. He lowered his hand and looked at a corner. You're here. Chapter 102, The Creepy Grin Showing 8 Teeth. Why don't you establish a hidden village? Zetsu stared at the child before him, then suddenly narrowed his eyes and said, You have gotten stronger. How much time had passed? This aura. He's already reached cage level. Hidden villages cannot bring true peace to the shinobi world, Uzumaki Jun did not directly answer Zetsu. Instead, he propped his chin on his hands and smiled. I've improved quite a bit recently. This is just improving quite a bit? Zetsu was shocked inwardly. As expected of a child who could overpower a tailed beast at 7 years old. Now, his aura was terrifying. This was definitely not an ordinary cage. Seeing Zetsu's astonished expression, Uzumaki Jun nodded in satisfaction. It was worth spending some reputation and attribute points to level up. He silently recited in his mind. System. Chakra level 21, 100,000,000/200,000,000. Kekii Genkai, none. Taijutsu level 20, 0/100,000,000. Ninjutsu level 20, 0/100,000,000. Wind release level 20, 0/100,000,000. Fire release level 20, 0/100,000,000. Lightning release level 20, 0/100,000,000. Water release level 20, 0/100,000,000. Earth release level 20, 0/100,000,000. Yin release level 20, 0/100,000,000. Yang release level 20, 0/100,000,000. Attribute points, 5. Reputation, 27,812,211. A little over 27 million. It seemed not everyone had reached intermediate or high-level admiration for him. People with obsessive-compulsive tendencies like to distribute points evenly when leveling up. Although, apart from chakra, everything else had just barely reached cage level, Uzumaki Jun could proudly say he was perfect. But where did these 5 attribute points come from? Uzumaki Jun remembered he had already used up all his attribute points, and he hadn't been completing many missions recently. So where did these points? Host has taken the first step toward the cause of harmony in the shinobi world, hence the reward of 5 attribute points. When did that happen? Why wasn't I notified? The speech has been completed. So this was the first step toward a harmonious society. Uzumaki Jun stared expressionlessly at Zetsu floating before him. Now, he could confidently say he feared no one. But you should know this won't bring true peace, Zetsu frowned and said. Only Lord Madara can lead us to peace. And the tailed beasts are necessary. Hearing Zetsu's words, Uzumaki Jun rubbed his forehead and sighed helplessly. That's exactly why we need true peace in the shinobi world. Think about it. When the world is at peace and technology advances, the importance of tailed beasts will gradually decline, even becoming obsolete. By then, we can simply buy them with money. Just like how Hashirama sold the tailed beasts back then. Who could guarantee they couldn't be bought back in the future? The other half of Zetsu, upon hearing Uzumaki Jun's explanation, suddenly froze, then nodded thoughtfully. He does make a good point. Whose side are you on? We don't actually want peace in the shinobi world. Collecting the tailed beasts is just to free Mother. And if the world is wiped out, it'll be easier for Mother to reclaim chakra. Black Zetsu was speechless as he looked at his other half not that he could actually see. He really wanted to split White Zetsu out and slap him hard. This brainless idiot. I can't make this decision, Black Zetsu said to Uzumaki Jun. I am the will of Lord Madara. I need to return and consult him. Hearing Black Zetsu's words, Uzumaki Jun narrowed his eyes. Madara's will? Ha! He knew Zetsu wouldn't agree. After all, he had been secretly inciting wars in the shinobi world for over 1,000 years. Even Madara had been fooled by him. If he dared suggest this, Madara would probably be the first to disagree. The old Madara was just that domineering. If he wanted to be the villain, he would rely on his own means to seize the tailed beasts. There was no need for sneaky methods, just like the Akatsuki organization, which openly declared to the villages that they wanted the tailed beasts, that they wanted to create the 10 tails. Of course, Uzumaki Jun nodded casually. This is something you should discuss with the boss. After all, it's a major decision that will determine the future direction of the company. Zetsu stared speechlessly at Uzumaki Jun. This kid was anything but ordinary. He wasn't as naive as he appeared on the surface. By the way, can you do me a favor? Uzumaki Jun suddenly remembered something. What favor? Zetsu asked curiously. Now that this kid had reached cage level, a real cage, what could he possibly need help with? Help me investigate someone. Find out where he is, Uzumaki Jun said, squinting at Zetsu. He was clearly meant to be a paparazzi. Why had Kagaya turned him into an army? Who? Zetsu asked curiously. A Konoha shinobi Hiruzen's disciple, Orochimaru's teammate, the genetic science genius Hiriko, Uzumaki Jun said. He wasn't sure when this genius had defected from the village, but it was probably around the Second Shinobi War. So he needed to keep an eye on him now. Once he left Konoha, he would immediately recruit him. Hiriko. Black Zetsu muttered, frowning. This name. I've never heard of him. White Zetsu interjected. He must be a nobody. Or maybe a genius. Well, in a certain sense, he is a genius. A genius in science. With a weak body, he actually absorbed 4 Kekkei Genkai. If that didn't make him a genius in genetics, Uzumaki Jun didn't know what would. Fine, Zetsu nodded. In that case, we'll... Wait, we're not done yet. Just as Zetsu was about to use Earth Release to leave, Uzumaki Jun spoke again. Also, help me check who the spies are in Uzushiagakure right now. Zetsu stopped sinking and nodded helplessly. Fine. If there's nothing else, we'll... Don't rush. There's more. Uzumaki Jun narrowed his eyes at White Zetsu. What's the hurry? Stay for a meal. Just say what you need. Black Zetsu said impatiently. Lord Madara is waiting. I just want White Zetsu to help me plant some trees, Uzumaki Jun said with a smile. He remembered White Zetsu could also use wood release. With the large-scale construction projects, a lot of trees had been cut down, and the greenery in the residential areas wasn't complete yet. I wonder if my raised nan can turn White Zetsu into a tree. Maybe. Uzumaki Jun gave White Zetsu a mischievous look. White Zetsu suddenly shivered. He felt a bad premonition. What's wrong? Black Zetsu frowned. Why are you shaking? It's disgusting. And did you hear what Jun said? Maybe I caught a cold, White Zetsu said. I feel a little chilly. Planting trees. Of course, White Zetsu disagreed. Ninjutsu shouldn't be used for something like this. But just mark the areas where you need trees planted, White Zetsu said helplessly. It was better not to provoke Uzumaki Jun right now. This monster was already cage level, and his aura was definitely not ordinary. There was no way to win against him. If he angered him, he might be trapped here planting trees forever. At least it was just a clone's job. In that case, we'll take our leave, Zetsu said, seeing there was nothing else. He prepared to sink back into the ground and discuss with Madara. Besides, this kid was already cage level. Who knew? In a few years, he might become like the god of shinobi. He needed to ask Madara what to do. Oh, one more thing. Suddenly, Uzumaki Jun seemed to remember something else. He looked at Zetsu, who had paused his descent again. If you ever want to hide in someone's sleeve in the future, you should change your expression. That grin showing a teeth is way too creepy. Try a troll face instead. You might even gain some fans. A pitch-black figure with only teeth and eyeballs visible was just too unsettling. Hey! Chapter 103. The Land of Whirlpools. After the morning speech, both the citizens of the Land of Whirlpools and the civilians who had not yet joined were excitedly heading to their respective posts. Terra! Yazunaka Yosh called out to Terra, who was planting rice seedlings in the distance, while smoking his pipe. Come here for a moment. Uncle Yosh. Hearing someone call him, Terra stood up and turned around in confusion. When he saw it was Uncle Yosh, his face broke into a smile as he walked over. What brings you here today? After all, since the large-scale construction projects began, they had all been very busy and hadn't seen each other for a long time. He had heard that Uncle Yosh had been promoted again. Coming to find you must mean good news. Yazunaka Yosh smiled and said. The team leader just notified us that we can now officially register as citizens of the Land of Whirlpools, so I came to tell you. What about you? Aren't you going to work? Farming at home now? Not at all. Terra laughed. I'm on the night shift, so I don't have to go to work until the afternoon. Oh, I see. Yazunaka Yosh nodded. I remember you and your wife haven't gotten your ID cards yet. That's right. Terra said excitedly. You mean this time? Yes. Yazunaka Yosh smiled. Today is an important day, and the higher UPS have lowered the requirements. That's why I came to tell you. Ah, thank you, Uncle Yosh. Hearing the news, Terra grinned foolishly. Why not stay for lunch? No. Yazunaka Yosh waved his hand. I still have to notify some other people. No time. He glanced at the nearby houses. Your house, hey? You've already bought a house? That's great. Of course. Terra puffed out his chest proudly. I heard it was designed by His Highness Jun. Of course it's great. As for buying it. Terra scratched his head sheepishly. I still have 7 installments left to pay it off. No need to be embarrassed. Yazunaka Yosh chuckled. Being able to buy a house on your own is already an achievement. And it's just 7 installments. You'll probably pay it off this year. Not bad. Alright, I can see you're excited. Go tell your wife. Hurry and get registered, or there'll be a crowd later. Right. How silly of me. Terra smacked his own head hard, stammering. Aye. Go on. Yazunaka Yosh nodded with a smile. Thank you, Uncle Yosh. Watching Terra run off, Yazunaka Yosh shook his head helplessly. That kid, he sighed. Better hurry and notify the next household. These old bones of mine. Kyoko! Terra shouted excitedly. Before even entering the house, he couldn't wait to share his excitement with his wife. Kyoko. Coming. A gentle-looking woman, wearing an apron, opened the door with a smile. Seeing her husband panting as if he had something urgent to say, she shook her head helplessly and reached out to wipe his sweat. Look at you. Can't you take things slower? You're drenched in sweat. Tara grinned foolishly, enjoying his wife wiping his sweat. I'm just happy. Since you're back, breakfast is ready. Let's eat first. Kyoko said gently. But... ah! Kyoko suddenly let out a small scream as Tara suddenly hugged her. She lightly smacked him, blushing. What are you doing? People are watching. It's fine, it's fine. Ignoring the onlookers, Tara continued holding Kyoko tightly, burying his face in her hair. Let them watch. You Kyoko didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Really? Hat. Tara closed his eyes, inhaling the fragrance of her hair, murmuring contentedly. Meeting you was the best thing. Both of them were refugees who had come from outside. In the end, they had somehow ended up together. It was truly unbelievable. Hearing Tara's words, Kyoko also hugged him tightly, whispering. Me too. Coming to the land of whirlpools was such a fortunate thing. Oh, Uncle Yosh just told me something. Tara suddenly remembered, still holding Kyoko tightly. Later, we can go register as citizens of the land of whirlpools and become its official citizens. Really? Kyoko pulled back slightly, her eyes wide with excitement. Are you serious? Of course. Then shouldn't we hurry? Let me hold you a little longer. Tara still didn't let go, murmuring. Just a little longer. Hearing this, Kyoko also relaxed, but a smile remained on her face as she wrapped her arms around Tara again. Let's have a child. Tara suddenly whispered into Kyoko's ear. When the time comes, they can attend school in the land of whirlpools. I heard that as long as you're a citizen, education is free. Kyoko's face flushed red, then she nodded softly. Shij, why aren't you out playing with your friends today? Kita looked helplessly at the child staying at his house. This kid was supposed to be staying at the orphanage, so why did he keep showing up at his place every few days? And now he had been here for several days in a row. Is the orphanage not good? Or are you being bullied? Tell me. No. Shij shook his head. The orphanage is great. Everyone is great. Then why? Kita frowned. Today, a girl had asked him out on a date. After being single for so long, this was a rare opportunity. It wasn't easy. If you have something to say, just say it. Seeing Shij's hesitant expression, Kita sighed. Maybe I can help. Hurry up and say it so you can go play. Your big brother Kita has a date to get to. Shij hesitated for a moment before finally making up his mind. He looked up at Kita and said, I want to become a ninja. That's it? Kita stared at Shij blankly. So it was just about becoming a ninja? Was there any need to be so conflicted? I remember they're planning to build an academy. If you want to be a ninja, you can go to school when it's ready. Kita said. Hasn't the orphanage registered you as a citizen of the land of whirlpools yet? Only citizens of the land of whirlpools could attend school for free, but the conditions for orphans to become citizens were relatively more lenient. I want to start now. Seeing Kita frown, Shij seemed to realize his request might be too much. He lowered his head in embarrassment. Becoming a ninja isn't that easy. Kita frowned. Your thinking is just too unrealistic. But seeing Shij's dejected expression, Kita sighed and didn't say it outright. Can you tell me why you want to become a ninja? Shij took a deep breath. I want to protect the land of whirlpools. I want to protect my friends. If that's the case, Kita fell silent for a moment. Just as Shij thought he was about to be rejected. I'll help you. Kita smiled and said. Here's a scroll on chakra refinement. He took out a scroll from the bookshelf. Read it yourself first. Shij excitedly took the scroll and looked at Kita curiously. Big brother Kita, do you have something to do today? He seemed to be in a hurry. Kids shouldn't ask so many questions. Just focus on reading. Chapter 104, You're old, you can't lift your sword anymore. Lord Madara. Zetsu looked at the aged Madara before him and spoke respectfully. What is it? Cough. Madara, awakened by Zetsu, coughed twice and asked, why wake me up suddenly? That child has reached cage level, Zetsu said. Madara froze for a moment upon hearing Zetsu's words. Cough. He slowly stood up and asked, how long have I been asleep? Less than half a year. So fast. Even Madara was shocked. It hadn't even been a year, and he had already grown so strong? If he remembered correctly, when Zetsu last reported, the boy was still a jonin, albeit exceptionally powerful due to his space-time ninjutsu. And there were suspicions that the daimyo of Uzumaki had been cuckolded, because that Uzumaki child also possessed magnet release. Now, he had already. Yes, Lord Madara, the white Zetsu on the other side nodded. He's like a monster. His presence is overwhelming. Wow. 7 years old? No, he must be 8 now. To become so strong already, he's definitely future god of shinobi level. Tobi scratched his bald head in frustration. It's unbelievable. Lord Madara, should we kill him? Ha ha ha. Madara suddenly burst into laughter. Kill him? No, there's no need. After Hashirama's death, I never expected such a powerful figure to emerge again. The shinobi world is truly fascinating. Why would I kill him? But Lord Madara, Tobi hesitated before cautiously adding, you've grown old. You can barely lift your sword anymore. Soon, you won't be able to kill him. The entire cave fell into silence. Zetsu stared at Tobi, wondering if he should use wood release to craft a coffin for him. This guy was really pushing his luck. Tch. Madara, who had been laughing heartily, seemed choked by Tobi's words. He glared at Tobi and snapped, get lost. Really, Lord Madara, don't deny it. You've gotten old, Tobi continued obliviously. Look, your hands are shaking. You definitely can't lift your sword anymore. Madara raised his hand, pointing at Tobi. For a moment, he wanted to incinerate this spiral-faced idiot with a great fireball technique. But remembering that they were manifestations of his will, he silently reminded himself to stay calm. The peace of the shinobi world still required their cooperation. Don't get angry. He snorted, trembling as he sat back down on his seat. Breathe deeply. Stay calm. Lord Madara, what should we do? Zetsu ignored Tobi's provocations and respectfully asked Madara, do we need to? No need, Madara shook his head. The strong have their own pride. I hope he can bring more excitement to this shinobi world. Yes. Lord Madara. Though Zetsu privately thought it would be better to eliminate the kid while he was still young, who knew if he might surpass Madara one day, he still nodded in compliance with Madara's orders. While I sleep, continue stirring up war in the shinobi world, Madara leaned against the cave wall and closed his eyes. This world has long been corrupted. I will create a better, more peaceful shinobi world. Tell Hashirama. His methods don't work. Yes. Zetsu nodded, hesitating before adding, but that child. Madara exhaled through his nose, eyes still closed. He said if the shinobi world were at peace, it would be easier for us to gather the tailed beasts. Madara paused, then opened his eyes, narrowing them dangerously. What do you mean? Sensing Madara's overwhelming aura, Zetsu quickly repeated Uzumaki Jun's words. He said. Ha ha ha. Madara laughed disdainfully after listening. Cough, cough. How naive. This shinobi world is beyond saving. Ever since shinobi came into existence, cough. It was doomed. Only by destroying everything and starting anew can true peace be brought to this world. He's as foolishly naive as Hashirama. Cough. Trying to secretly gather the tailed beasts? Humph. A mere rat. I thought another hero had emerged in the shinobi world, but cough, what a disappointment. He, Uchiha Madara, disdained such underhanded methods. Even if he were to find a successor in the future, he would make sure that successor acted under his name, declaring to the world that everything was done by Uchiha Madara. Then should we? Zetsu watched Madara, who was clutching his chest while laughing, and asked. No matter. Madara waved his hand, catching his breath before calmly saying, you probably can't kill him now anyway. Alright. Zetsu nodded. Though Madara's words were harsh, they were the truth. As intelligence gatherers, it was best not to act recklessly. Mother hadn't been rescued yet. Their top priority was ensuring their own safety. Ignore him. If he doesn't interfere with our mission, leave him be, Madara said indifferently. A 7-year-old prodigy, I hope he won't disappoint me when the time comes. His pupils shifted, transforming into a mysterious pattern of concentric purple rings. The Rinnegan. Leave, Madara closed his eyes again, exhausted. age made even activating his eyes difficult. Remember our mission. I hope this shinobi world can still provide some entertainment after Hashirama's passing. Yes. Zetsu nodded and slowly sank into the ground to continue his mission. I told you, Lord Madara is old, Tobi sighed as he watched Zetsu leave. An old man refusing to admit his age. See? Just talking tired him out. However. Fire release, great fireball technique. The white Zetsu heard the explosion behind them and shook his head. Hey? What happened? Why did an explosion occur right after they left? Great fireball technique, the black Zetsu said flatly. What do we do now? Probably Tobi being an idiot again. The white Zetsu thought for a moment before sighing. Let's go to Konoha first. And complete that kid's task. Oh, right. You still have to help him with a forestation in Uzumaki, the black Zetsu remembered and nodded. No problem. I'll just send a clone over. That damn brat. Uzumaki. Has anything happened recently? Uzumaki Jun asked the Uzunin beside him, hands clasped behind his back. If you notice anything unusual, report it immediately. With spies still lurking in Uzumaki, any troublemakers now would be troublesome. Everything remains stable, Uzumaki Hibiki flipped through his notes and replied. Morale is high among everyone. They're all actively participating in Uzumaki's reconstruction. Good, Uzumaki Jun nodded. It seemed his previous speech hadn't been in vain. After returning to Uzumaki, Uzumaki Hibiki resumed his role as Jun's secretary. Having a male secretary instead of a beautiful woman was truly regrettable. As for Kai, he had been assigned with Kamaki to train new shinobi. After all, Uzumaki currently only had one top-tier fighter. Him. Uzumaki Jun. But compared to the 5 great shinobi villages, the number of shinobi in Uzumaki was still pitifully small. I'll draft the military code of conduct later. However, the mobility of shinobi in this world was too high. Unless it was a large-scale war, conventional military tactics might not be very effective. For now, they could only focus on detailed divisions. A navy and land force were essential, along with specialized squads for smaller operations. No matter what, they had to instill a new sense of military discipline. A spirit of protecting the nation and its people. Walking along the newly built commercial street of Uzumaki, Jun observed the still somewhat desolate shops. Not many merchants had settled in Uzumaki yet. What a headache! Chapter 105, he endures the darkness while silently protecting Konoha. For Uzumaki to attract outside merchants, they must first wait until the people become prosperous and their standard of living improves. Moreover, they must have their own specialties and unique products. Otherwise, all the money will be earned by others, and Uzumaki's market will not circulate properly. That would be extremely dangerous. Therefore later, he directly abolished the communal dining system and switched to distributing wages instead. This allowed the citizens and refugees to fill their wallets so they would have the ability to spend. However, the taxes paid by citizens and refugees were separate. They must highlight how happy and fortunate the lives of Uzumaki's citizens are. But currently, vegetables, rice, meat, and other food supplies are all imported from outside. After all, Uzumaki's agriculture has only just started over again. Sigh. If only there were ninjas specialized in farming and livestock, Uzumaki Jun sighed. No matter what, during wartime, it's best to keep food supplies under their own control. As for meat, becoming a ninja, and even training, requires consuming large amounts of food. Meat is especially useful as it can improve the human body and restore chakra. Didn't you see how Tsunade, after using the strength of 100 seal and overexerting herself into an old woman, recovered after a big meal? So food in the ninja world is extremely important. I wonder how the Kamizuru clan is doing now? Perhaps as professional beekeepers, they might have experience with other types of livestock? Why haven't they come to find me yet? Uzumaki Jun muttered. Could it be that because he saved those Kamizuru ninjas, their strongest members didn't all die, making the Tsuchikage hesitate to act recklessly? Or maybe the Kamizuru clan is also a stubborn group that would rather die than leave their village. That would be troublesome. This time, have Gato bring in a batch of livestock, whether it's cows, pigs, chickens, ducks, or whatever. Uzumaki Jun thought for a moment and said to Uzumaki Hibiki beside him. Yes. Uzumaki Hibiki nodded and wrote it down in his memo. For now, they can just exchange some livestock farming books later. Books like Practical Pig Farming Techniques, Efficient Pig Farming Series, and Complete Cattle Farming Guide can all be exchanged and given to the people below to study. Maybe some genius will end up raising pigs that become summoning animals? Just like Konoha's Inyazuka clan, maybe they used to be dog breeders. Well, they still are dog breeders now. After all, Tsunade's pig Taunton is quite smart. Who knows, maybe Uzushiagakuer will produce their own Inyazuka but with pigs clan. How much reputation do livestock farming books cost? Uzumaki Jun asked inwardly. The complete set, covering cattle, pigs, dogs, cats, chickens, ducks, all livestock farming knowledge from Earth, costs 10 million in total. That expensive? Uzumaki Jun was shocked. Because there are many books. What if I want 10 books for each type? All different ones. 1 million. That's acceptable. Uzumaki Jun nodded and said, then exchange 10 books for each type. Host, please make your selection. First, select 10 professional cattle farming books. Uzumaki Jun felt dizzy looking at the nearly 1,000 books that appeared before him. And this was just for cattle farming. No wonder the full set was so expensive. There must be hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of books in total. Just the top 10 bestsellers will do. Uzumaki Jun closed the page and replied with a headache. Understood. Uzumaki Jun walked into a noodle shop nearby. Welcome. The owner, who was kneading dough, brightened up when he saw who it was. Lord Jun. Uzumaki Jun smiled and nodded. 1 bowl of clear broth noodles, please. Right away, Lord Jun. Excited to see the lord he admired, the owner immediately started preparing the best noodles he could make. How's business lately? Uzumaki Jun observed the shop's environment. It wasn't big, but it was very clean. Very good, the owner grinned. The Uzunin ramen shop has already built a reputation. Many people come to eat noodles after work, especially the varieties Lord Jun taught me. They're amazing. Hearing this, Uzumaki Jun nodded. It seemed the flavors of Earth's noodles suited the ninja world well. He smiled and asked, and you? Are you adjusting well? This middle-aged man was a ninja of the Uzumaki clan, though only a chunin. He lost his right leg in the war and could no longer be a ninja. So when Uzumaki Jun saw the empty commercial street, he had him open a noodle shop to test whether Earth's noodles would appeal to the ninja world. Now, his right leg was fitted with a prosthetic. Me? The owner grinned. I'm doing great. I'm happy every day. What if Uzumaki Jun thought for a moment? Many people could no longer be ninjas after this war, especially genin and chunin. Their employment was also an important issue. Papa. Suddenly, a clear voice came from inside the shop. Hey boy. Uzumaki Jun saw a red-haired boy around 5 years old walk out. Papa, I want ramen. The boy rubbed his eyes and said. Sure, I'll make some for you later. The owner smiled warmly at his child. Look, even Lord Jun comes to eat our ramen. Our ramen is the best. The owner gave a thumbs up covered in flour, proudly declaring. Really? The boy's eyes lit up as he looked at the red-haired boy eating noodles. Lord Jun. Hello. Uzumaki Jun smiled and nodded. It seemed the owner was very happy with his job. Watching the 5-year-old gaze at his father with admiration, Uzumaki Jun's face broke into a satisfied smile. This was good enough. He had originally planned to ask if the owner wanted to teach at the school, but now it seemed unnecessary. Here, clear broth ramen. The owner brought out a large bowl of generously topped ramen. Enjoy. It looks delicious. Uzumaki Jun smiled as he looked at the ramen. Then I won't hold back. Slurp. Uzumaki Jun's eyes brightened. Perhaps due to the different living environment, food in the ninja world was much tastier than Earth's, whether it was rice or meat. Delicious. Uzumaki Jun looked up at the father and son pair watching him expectantly and nodded. You're amazing, boss. Hee. Hearing Uzumaki Jun's praise, the owner scratched his head and grinned foolishly. Papa, me too, me too. Seeing how delicious Lord Jun's food looked, the boy gulped and tugged at his father urgently. Sure, no problem. Watch me make you the best ramen in the ninja world. Yay! Lord Danzo. A masked jonin bowed respectfully to the one-eyed middle-aged man in a green vest. Is that brat still not doing anything else? Danzo frowned at the jonin. He had attended yesterday's speech. That brat was truly enviable. To have so many people in Uzumaki trust him. If he had enjoyed such popularity back then, becoming Hokage would have been easy. But children will always be children. Danzo sneered mockingly. Did that brat think that by not establishing a ninja village, no one would attack Uzumaki? Without matching military strength, Uzumaki would only become a more tempting piece of meat. But what exactly is he planning? Danzo was deeply puzzled. What was the point of this brat elevating civilians and lowering ninjas? Did he not know that this world was ultimately ruled by ninjas? Lord Danzo, we just received orders from the Hokage. We are to return to the village immediately. The Jonin said. Humph. Danzo shook his head. It's not time yet. Tell Hiruzen we will return later. He needed to figure out what Uzumaki was planning. As the darkness that protected Konoha, the unsung hero, he could not allow any threat to Konoha to emerge. Yes. Uzumaki, a 7-year-old cage. Danzo muttered. How enviable. Chapter 106, Who is Tobi? First, let's talk about who Tobi is. Tobi is a special individual among the white Zetsu, possessing his own thoughts. He is an optimistic and cheerful white Zetsu, also known as spiral white Zetsu. I remember when I was watching Naruto, Obito was crushed by rocks and left half paralyzed, cut vertically, not horizontally. Thinking he was done for, he quickly told Kakashi to inherit his Sharingan and his girl. But little did he know, this was all part of a scheme. He was saved by Zetsu, Madara, and Tobi. Then, when he was feeling down, Tobi stepped in to give him emotional support, cheer him up, and introduce himself. I don't need to eat, I don't need to poop, I'm cheap, I'm smarter than you, and I'm stronger than you. While comforting him, Tobi accidentally let slip, oh yeah, Kakashi and your girl are in danger in Kirigakure. Obito heard that and thought, holy shit. He wasn't dead yet, so Kakashi could inherit his Sharingan, but he absolutely could not inherit his girl. So Obito imagined himself descending from the sky in golden armor, riding a rainbow cloud to save his girl, and Kakashi as an afterthought. But then he realized his other half was made of paste and couldn't break the rocks. Tobi saw this and immediately jumped out, saying, let me break the rules, let me go against the organization's orders to help you. Then, he made Obito top up, pay up, and acted as his skin, making Obito stronger. And thus, the one-eyed spiral Tobi was born. In the end, as you all know, Obito saw his girl die by his best friend's hand and went full edgelord. Thus, the ruthless Obito was born. Kishimoto once said that Obito has a dual personality, one is goofy, which I think is his original personality, since he was called the #1 unpredictable ninja, and the other is ruthless, his edgy, post-heel turn self. Because he acted so convincingly, some people confused Tobi with Obito. Actually, during the Fourth Shinobi World War, Tobi still made an appearance. By then, Obito had changed his skin, becoming stronger and more handsome, while Tobi went off with the White Zetsu army to cause trouble. But then, he died. In the manga, there's a scene where Tobi collapses and disintegrates. As for wood release, the White Zetsu were created by Madara, who thought he synthesized them from the cells of his bestie Hashirama and the Outer Path statue. So at this point, they already had wood release, but it was weak, only good for landscaping and potted plants. But when fused with Yamato, Tobi could use the true several thousand hands technique. As for Black Zetsu, Madara also thought he created it using yin-yang release, believing it was his own will incarnate, meant to monitor Obito. But we all know who Black Zetsu really is. The #1 filial son in the shinobi world. So at this point, Black Zetsu hadn't appeared yet, but for plot reasons, he was introduced early. So you see. This is why topping up for skins is so important. How else are you gonna get stronger? Why was Naruto so strong? Because his rich dad kept buying him skins, changing them left and right. Finally, let's analyze. Early on, Tobi was just Tobi, a friendly, goofy white Zetsu. Later, Obito called himself Tobi, a fusion of Obito and Tobi. During the war, Obito changed skins, and Tobi left only to die. Because Tobi's character was rarely mentioned, few people realize that Tobi and Obito aren't the same person. Now you get it, right? So if you don't understand, just ask. No need to curse. Ever since my follower count went up, weird readers have been popping up, throwing around insults. It's exhausting. Finally. Show some support, will ya? Chapter 107, Everything is progressing in an orderly manner. The construction of Uzumaki must be accelerated. Uzumaki Jun rubbed his forehead as he looked at the reports submitted by his subordinates. Currently, most of the shinobi world was still in a period of poverty, especially since the wars had never truly stopped. After all, the peace following wars was only temporary. The other major villages wanted to catch up to Konoha, and the other nations wanted to catch up to the Land of Fire. Aside from relying on Danzo, the friend of the shinobi world, the only way was through war. They sought to weaken Konoha's foundation through war, thereby achieving their goal of catching up. So, for Uzumaki to survive amidst the chaos and deter the other villages, there was no other way but to grow stronger. Where has Zetsu run off to? Uzumaki Jun sighed. Wasn't he supposed to investigate who the spies in Uzumaki were? Why was there still no news? Over the past few days, with the combined efforts of the Uzunin and the people, they had managed to identify a few suspicious individuals. Upon interrogation, they were all spies. Now, their chakra had been sealed, and they were sent to carry bricks to help build the bridge connecting Uzumaki to the Land of Fire. And it had to be said, even with their chakra sealed, their physical abilities as shinobi were still quite impressive, especially for taijutsu specialists. To suppress their physical capabilities, Uzumaki Jun had also tasked the science division with researching a sealing technique that could restrain their physical strength. The solution they came up with was a pair of iron shackles with attached iron balls, which were then locked onto the spies' limbs. Surprisingly, the effect was quite good. For a nation to grow strong, communication was essential. Isolating itself would only lead to falling further behind. And Uzumaki geographical location. A small island. Aside from being relatively close to the Land of Fire, the other nations were too far away. Thus, this bridge was indispensable for external communication. For shinobi, it might not be a big deal, but for ordinary civilians, it was troublesome. Were they supposed to rely on Uzunin to ferry them by boat forever? Perhaps in the future, there would be better methods, such as space-time ninjutsu. But for now, this bridge was absolutely necessary for Uzumaki. After all, without good transportation and goods, how could they attract merchants from other nations? The nationwide surveillance project must also be prioritized. Uzumaki Jun muttered. It was impossible to have sensor-type shinobi monitoring everything 24/7. Moreover, if Uzumaki classified information and technology were leaked to other nations, it would be disastrous. Thus, key areas had to be placed under surveillance. Lord Jun, today's schedule involves inspecting the farmlands, Uzumaki Hibiki reminded him after checking the memo. Let's prepare and head out. Uzumaki Jun sighed. Building everything from scratch in Uzumaki was truly exhausting. Today was an important day for spring plowing. A few days ago, he had Gato deliver the first batch of crop seeds, which had already been distributed. So today's task was to inspect the progress. Yes. Old Yang, do you think Lord Jun's paddy fields are reliable? An elderly man looked at another old man planting rice seedlings nearby, his face full of worry. What if? No matter the era, food was always the most important resource. Especially for civilians like them who had just survived the most difficult times. Old Chu, just relax. Old Yang chuckled. Lord Jun wouldn't lie to us ordinary folk. If he says it'll work, then it'll work. Think about the lives we had a few months ago and the lives we have now. All of this was given to us by Lord Jun. Haha. Old Chu laughed awkwardly. You're right. This old man is just too worried. If Lord Jun says it'll work, then it must be true. By the way, isn't your second son getting married soon? Old Yang ignored Old Chu's embarrassment and continued planting seedlings. You'll have to invite me for a drink then. Out of our entire village, only our two families ended up here. Yet. Hearing this, Old Chu's face also showed a hint of melancholy. Back then, this old man wanted to go to Konoha. If not for my eldest son's wife being pregnant and unable to move, maybe we would have. I wonder how the others are doing now. Old Yang's face showed a trace of nostalgia before he turned to Old Chu. I'd say your eldest grandson is a blessed child. Otherwise, how could you have ended up here? Ha ha ha. Old Chu raised his head proudly. That's right. Now my eldest son has become a small team leader in the construction squad, and my second son is about to get married. All of this was brought by my eldest grandson. So I named him Misawa Ikoku. In the future, I'll send him to the Shinobi Academy to protect our nation. Uzumaki Jun overheard the conversation between the two farmers planting seedlings in the paddy field and smiled faintly. It seemed that, little by little, these people were developing a sense of belonging to Uzushiagakuer. He turned to Uzumaki Hibiki beside him. The promotion of paddy fields has been fully implemented, right? Since reaching cage level in all attributes, his hearing had improved significantly. Yes, it's almost done. Uzumaki Hibiki nodded. Water release shinobi have been assigned to each responsible area, and the implementation is complete. Uzumaki Jun nodded in satisfaction. Uzushiagakuer didn't have many shinobi of other affinities, but wind and water shinobi were plentiful. So, why hadn't the Kamizuru clan arrived yet? Also, select a group of experienced elderly farmers to teach those who don't understand, Uzumaki Jun said. Especially the shinobi. They must not be arrogant and should humbly listen to others' advice. As long as the advice is reasonable, it doesn't matter whether the person is a shinobi or not. Yes. Uzumaki Hibiki nodded in acknowledgement. Uzumaki Jun looked at the citizens busily working in the fields, a sense of pride welling up in his heart. This was his nation. Since today was the day for spring plowing, most construction teams and factories were on break. Thus, there were quite a few people in the fields, men and women, young and old. Some families had even come out in full force, and everyone's faces were filled with hopeful smiles. Everything in Uzushiagakuer was slowly progressing in a positive direction. What about the newly recruited shinobi? Uzumaki Jun asked Uzumaki Hibiki. Among the newly recruited members, several dozen were shinobi. Had they caused any trouble? There haven't been any issues. Uzumaki Hibiki glanced around and pointed in a direction. That's one of them, Ashimade, a chunin proficient in fire and earth release. Uzumaki Jun looked in the indicated direction and saw a middle-aged man, around 40 years old, with a displeased expression, seemingly scolding a child next to him. Curious, he walked over. Kid, aren't you annoying? This old man is a famous shinobi. Ashimada said impatiently. I'll kill you if you keep bothering me. Uncle Day, stop pretending. The child pouted dismissively. I don't believe you're a shinobi. You can't even use ninjutsu. There's no way you're a shinobi. You're definitely lying. And me, the child raised his head proudly. I'm going to enroll in the Shinobi Academy and become a real shinobi to protect Uzushiagakuer. Kid, I told you my chakra is just sealed. Otherwise, I'd show you what real ninjutsu is. Ashimada said irritably while planting seedlings. Your uncle here is a well-known shinobi out there. Humph. The child still didn't believe him. This brat. Ashimada sighed helplessly. Why aren't you helping your dad instead of messing around here? Oh, right. Uncle Day, when are you telling stories again? Stories about shinobi? The child suddenly remembered something and looked at him expectantly. Even though Uncle Day likes to brag, the stories you tell are pretty good. Who's bragging? I, Ashimada, am a real shinobi. In a few days. Ashimada waved him off impatiently. Can't you see how busy we are right now? All right then. The child nodded in satisfaction, took out a package wrapped in parchment from his pocket, and said, This is some snacks Mom made. She said to give some to Uncle Day. After placing the package in Ashimada's hands, the child skipped away happily. Hey, you little brat! Ashimada looked helplessly at the parchment now slightly dirty from his soiled hands. Didn't this kid know his hands were dirty? A faint smile appeared on his face as he shook his head. What an annoying little brat! He raised his head and looked at the people busily working around him, feeling a surge of emotion. Perhaps this wasn't so bad after all. Chapter 108, The Kamizuru Clan. Konoha. What exactly is Danzo trying to do? Tobi Hiruzen puffed on his tobacco pipe, frowning as he read the message Danzo had sent back. The inauguration ceremony of that country was already over. Although the policy of not establishing a hidden village was strange, it didn't pose any threat to Konoha, so why was Danzo still staying in the land of whirlpools? Was he trying to stir up trouble? Moreover, a country without a hidden village would never become a major power. Konoha wasn't like the Mist Village, a bunch of weaklings. Couldn't they just crush a small country like that? The Jinchuriki plan still needs Hiruzen sighed helplessly. Was this something the Hokage should be handling? He was noble, righteous, the Hokage who brought hope to the village. He absolutely could not afford to stain his reputation any further. If Danzo didn't step up to oversee the Jinchuriki plan, who else could? This was a crucial matter for Konoha right now. And then there was the Senju clan. Did they even care about the village's peace and stability? Why were they running around outside at a time like this? Someone! Hiruzen put down his pipe and called out. Hokage-sama! An ANBU operative suddenly appeared in the Hokage's office, bowing respectfully. Order Danzo to return immediately. He is not to cause any more trouble outside. Hiruzen said expressionlessly. Yes, Hokage-sama. The ANBU operative replied and vanished instantly. Sigh watching the ANBU disappear, Hiruzen exhaled deeply. A Republican government? What exactly is that? The intelligence reports from the land of whirlpools made no sense to him. It was just a policy of not having a hidden village. But 30 years ago, wasn't that how the shinobi world used to be? And what happened in the end? Countries without hidden villages were all taught a lesson by those that had them. The one village one country system was established by Lord Hashirama himself, a system that ended the era of war. How could it be so easily changed? Hiruzen pondered for a while but couldn't figure anything out. He sat back down and placed his hands on the crystal ball in front of him. Let's see what that blonde kid is up to. First, gather chakra in your hand. Namikaze Minato's young face was tense as he stared intently at his right hand. Then, release the chakra steadily and continuously, while making it flow in different directions. But, just as Minato rubbed his hands together, the chakra dispersed. Failed again. Minato's face twisted in frustration. This jutsu called the Raise Nan was the mysterious gift given to him by that red-haired boy. It seemed like a very powerful technique, but after so long, he still hadn't succeeded. What should I do? Minato fell into deep thought. Afraid that the Hokage might find out, he had been practicing in secret. The red-haired boy had told him not to tell anyone, and besides, my chakra reserves are still too low. Minato lay on the ground, his hands injured from practicing the jutsu, so he could only rest them flat on the ground. But his heart was still racing. After all, this was a ninjutsu. Especially for an orphan, learning ninjutsu was incredibly difficult. What should I do? Minato stared blankly at the sky. Who was that kid? He hadn't seen him in the village at all. He really wanted to ask him what was going on. Little did he know that Hiruzen had already witnessed this scene. After all, that kid from the land of whirlpools was a cage. Any child he interacted with had to be thoroughly investigated. But when Hiruzen discovered it was just a jutsu, he didn't interfere further. He merely observed occasionally when he had time, because dedicated people were always admirable. Especially a child. This jutsu Hiruzen frowned as he watched Minato practicing, but he couldn't make sense of it because Minato had never succeeded even once. Still, Hiruzen didn't say anything. The shinobi world placed great importance on the secrecy of techniques, especially since this was a gift from another child. As the Hokage, he couldn't just take it or interrogate Minato about it. He still had his dignity to uphold. As long as Minato posed no threat to the Hokage and was a good kid who loved the village, that was enough. And this child's dream was to become Hokage. So Hiruzen didn't pay too much attention to it. But seeing the child train so diligently, he felt gratified. If everyone was like this, wouldn't the village prosper? Maybe he's a genius. Hiruzen muttered to himself before chuckling and shaking his head. Geniuses weren't so easily found. Opportunity, talent, and willpower were all indispensable for a genius. Maybe this kid had strong willpower, but growing into a true shinobi was never easy. Iwagakure. Clan head, a shinobi wearing the IWA headband looked hesitantly at the middle-aged man before him. The ANBU came again. The Kamizuru clan is now. Sigh the Kamizuru clan head sighed deeply. Restrain our clansmen. Don't let them go out these days. Yes. The Kamizuru shinobi replied. Iwagakure ha. The clan head stared blankly at his forehead protector. As it turned out, that kid was right. The Kamizuru clan was suffering in Iwagakure. Now, All the other clans were ignoring the Kamizuru clan's plight due to the higher UPS influence. Some were even trying to suppress them. Especially the third Tsuchikage. Ha, how laughable! The first Tsuchikage, Ishikawa, who founded Uegakure, was from the Kamizuru clan. And now? Why was the Kamizuru clan being treated like this? They had contributed to the village, shed blood for the village. Why were they being treated this way now? Clan head. Another Kamizuru Jonin suddenly entered, bowing respectfully. The Tsuchikage has sent word. Due to the village's growing population, they need to reclaim the land on our mountain. He also said that since the Kamizuru clan's numbers have dwindled, we won't be needing it. The Jonin spoke cautiously, watching his clan head's reaction. But the Kamizuru clan head nodded slightly. Tell the Tsuchikage that the land deed will be handed over later. Clan head. The Kamizuru shinobi looked at his leader in shock. He had expected the clan head to outright refuse the Tsuchikage's order, because this was just too much of a humiliation. That land was where the Kamizuru clan thrived. They needed it for their bee cultivation. In all of Uegakure, only that land could grow flowers and plants. If it was taken away, what would become of the Kamizuru clan? Enough, leave. The clan head cut him off sharply. Do as I say. But his tightly clenched fists betrayed his inner turmoil. As the head of the Kamizuru clan, how could he possibly want this? But now, it wasn't about what the Kamizuru clan wanted anymore, but whether Uegakure would let them off. Watching the Jonin leave, the clan head wore a bitter smile. Now, what should he do? The clan head lowered his gaze to a specially crafted kunao beside him, his heart torn. Was this really the only way? They were the Kamizuru clan of Uegakure. Chapter 109, the second clan in Uzushiagakure. Currently, the situation in Uzushiagakure is looking very promising. Or rather, the spies hiding in the shadows are hiding very well. The Uzunin have not discovered any others besides those few so far. It seems it's time to gradually lift the restrictions on these rogue ninjas, Uzumaki Jun thought as he reviewed the ninjas recently recruited by Uzushiagakure. He saw that none of them had caused trouble, and some had even built good relationships with their neighbors. It seemed they had already adapted to life in Uzushiagakure. If no issues arise, they must be formally accepted to demonstrate Uzushiagakure's inclusive attitude: no discrimination, no neglect. This way, more people would come to join in the future. Of course. All of this must wait until Zetsu finishes his investigation to determine whether there are spies from other villages among them. No matter what, maintaining domestic stability is Uzushiagakure's top priority for now. This Zetsu Uzumaki Jun shook his head helplessly. Does it really take this long to report the current situation to the boss? Was he being held back by Madara for the night? Hey! Suddenly, Uzumaki Jun's expression froze, and he frowned. This is Lord Jun. Uzumaki Hibiki noticed the change in Jun's expression and put down the memorandum. Did something happen? Yes. Uzumaki Jun nodded with a mysterious smile. We're going back now. Understood. Uzumaki Hibiki immediately became serious. Yes. Finally, it's happening. Uzumaki Jun activated the Flying Thunder God technique and instantly returned to his office. After so many days, the second ninja clan in Uzushiagakure has finally arrived. Kamizuru clan Oniki stared at the land deed in his hand, frowning. What is going on? The Kamizuru clan had handed it over so easily. This was the land crucial to their survival and prosperity. What were they planning? After all the reasons, jutsu, and Anbu he had prepared. Now, none of them were needed. Has the Kamizuru clan been acting strangely recently? Oniki asked the Anbu beside him. Or have there been any unusual movements? No. The Anbu knelt on one knee and replied. It's just that the Kamizuru clan members have rarely left their clan's territory lately. It seems they've been recalling all their clansmen. Is that so? Oniki frowned deeply. What are they trying to do? The first Tsuchikage was from the Kamizuru clan, and now the Kamizuru clan was backing down? This isn't like them. Could it be that they love the village so deeply? Are they sacrificing their own clan for the greater good? Quietly contributing to Uegakure's development? Monitor the Kamizuru clan closely, Oniki's eyes sharpened. Report any suspicious activity immediately. Yes. Lord Jun. After returning to the office, Uzumaki Hibiki saw Uzumaki Jun busy with paperwork and asked, "Do you need help?" "No, I'm almost done." Uzumaki Jun didn't look up. "These documents will be handed over to the clan leader, and this one." He raised his head, holding a file in his right hand, and looked seriously at Uzumaki Hibiki. "This one must be delivered personally to the elder. No one outside the research department is allowed to open it." "Understood." Uzumaki Hibiki nodded solemnly. It seemed this was a classified document, especially with the sealing technique imprinted on it. "I will deliver it to the elder personally." "Good." Uzumaki Jun nodded in satisfaction. "I'll be away for a few days." "Ah." Uzumaki Hibiki was taken aback. "Should I arrange?" "No need. This time, I'm going alone." Uzumaki Jun waved his hand. "I'll be back in a few days." "But Lady Kyoko." "Enough, leave." Uzumaki Jun sighed. "I'll leave a shadow clone here. Keep an eye on things, or else when my mother scolds me, I'll scold you." Is this how it works?" Uzumaki Hibiki had something to say but held back. Finally. "Understood." He reluctantly agreed and left. "How should I handle the Kamizuru clan's arrival?" Uzumaki Jun ignored Hibiki's departure and stroked his chin in thought. Safely accepting a clan from another village wasn't simple. If discovered, it could lead to the 5 great villages declaring war on Uzushiagakuer. After all, no village would tolerate traitors escaping unscathed. Otherwise, if defecting became risk-free, the ninja world would descend into chaos. So, a foolproof plan was necessary. Just as Uzumaki Jun was deep in thought, a figure slowly emerged from the ground. Uzumaki Jun looked down, then suddenly smirked. "Got it." Clan leader. An old man bearing the Kamizuru clan's crest slowly entered, frowning at the Kamizuru leader. "Why did you hand over the mountain?" Sai the clan leader sighed. "Elder, how do you think the Kamizuru clan is doing now?" The elder hesitated, then also sighed. "Then what do you plan to do?" "What do I plan to do? What do I plan to do?" The clan leader smiled bitterly. "What choice does the Kamizuru clan have besides leaving Uegakuer?" "No." The elder panicked. "Absolutely not. That would be desertion. Given their already precarious position in the village, desertion would mean annihilation. Even if they left Uegakuer, how many of them would survive? Which village would dare defy Uegakuer, one of the 5 great villages, to shelter them? There's no other way." The clan leader shook his head helplessly. "We are hindering Uegakuer's progress. The burden of being the clan that founded the village was simply too heavy. Too heavy for the Kamizuru clan to bear any longer. But if we desert," the elder sighed, "how will the Kamizuru clan survive?" "That depends on him." The clan leader gazed deeply at the Kamizuru children playing outside, oblivious to everything. "Without a foolproof plan, the Kamizuru clan will not take this step." The elder sighed in resignation. "You've worked hard, see if the old folks below, I'll keep them in line. As for the rest, just I have failed the Kamizuru clan." Tears welled in the elder's eyes as he shook his head, lowered his head, and turned away. Watching the elder's desolate figure, the clan leader's eyes also filled with tears. He too was reluctant. After all, this was the village founded by Lord Ishikawa. But there was no other choice. "I will not let anything happen to the Kamizuru clan." Kamizuru's eyes burned with determination. Chapter 110, I am Uchiha Madara. Zetsu stared speechlessly at the child in front of him, who was wearing a spiral-patterned one-eyed mask and a black cloak with red clouds. Most strikingly, the single visible eye. Manjiki Sharingan. "How is it?" Uzumaki Jun spun around in front of Zetsu and asked, "Does it look convincing?" "Convincing? Convincing what?" Zetsu frowned, confused. "What are you doing?" He had just emerged when this Uzumaki brute immediately summoned this cloak and put it on, then asked if it looked convincing. What was the meaning of this? "Uchiha Madara?" Uzumaki Jun asked. "Do I look like Boss Madara?" "Madara-sama has black hair," White Zetsu replied helplessly. A red-haired kid asking if he looked like Madara-sama? There were no redheads in the Uchiha clan. "Oh, right, I forgot to deal with the hair." Uzumaki Jun suddenly realized. After all, Noki had seen Madara before. If he went out like this, there would definitely be problems. System, do you have temporary hair dye? Yes. 10 reputation points. Lasts 1 day, full coverage. Fine. Deduct the points for however many days it lasts. Just make sure it doesn't fade these next few days. Understood. Black Zetsu stared blankly. Wait, he couldn't see. This white Zetsu. Was he an idiot? Was this about the hair? Was this really about the hair? The real question was, what was this kid planning now? And that Sharingan? Just what was going on here? Could it be that the Uzumaki clan had inherited the Sharingan from the Akatsuki line, but it was just very hard to awaken? Until this genius came along. Indeed, an 8-year-old Kage. A true prodigy. What exactly are you trying to do? Black Zetsu asked sternly. Nothing much. Just promoting the company. Uzumaki Jun said casually. Promoting the company? What did that mean? And how did his hair suddenly turn from red to black? What about the Sharingan? Zetsu pressed. This was his biggest concern. He hadn't expected this child to possess the Manjiki. He had to report this to Madara-sama immediately. Oh, this. Uzumaki Jun fiddled with his eye, and a red, transparent object appeared in his right hand. Just colored contacts. Want some? 1 million RY per pair. Totally fake, no real effects. Zetsu stared blankly at the object in Uzumaki Jun's hand. So this Manjiki was just that? Since when did such things exist in the shinobi world? And what was the point of this? Looking cool? What are you really trying to do? Black Zetsu asked solemnly. Their plans couldn't afford any disruptions right now. I already told you, promoting our organization. And letting the shinobi world tremble once more under the might of Boss Madara. Uzumaki Jun put the contact back in and said, it's all for the sake of our organization. So what exactly are you planning? By the way, do you want some? Uzumaki Jun asked. The cloak is free, but you'll have to pay for the contacts yourself. The contacts and cloak only cost 1 reputation point each, but could reputation be bought with money? 1 million RY was already cheap. I noticed our company doesn't have uniforms. That's bad for corporate culture, so Uzumaki Jun spun around again. How's my design? Since Akatsuki didn't exist yet, there were no copyright issues with the outfit. Not bad. White Zetsu examined it seriously and nodded. Black with red clouds. Very stylish. Black Zetsu suddenly felt the urge to split from White Zetsu and punch him. Was now the time to discuss clothing? The real issue was. I need to ask Madara-sama first, Black Zetsu said. Relax, I'm just spreading the word about Madara-sama's undying spirit. He'll approve, Uzumaki Jun said dismissively. We're all on the same side here. We wouldn't harm you. This was also a good opportunity to test the waters with the Sharingan. He wondered how the Uchiha clan in Konoha would react. Or rather, what would Hiruzen Sarutobi think? Zetsu opened his mouth firmly. No. This matter must be discussed with Madara-sama. If he doesn't allow it, I won't help. Fine, I'll do it alone, Uzumaki Jun said casually. Having Zetsu around would just mean an extra cheerleader. One more or less didn't matter. He was just informing them that he'd be borrowing Madara's name. Number UN% and. Black Zetsu had some choice words he couldn't say out loud. He was starting to regret recruiting this kid. He was nothing but trouble. If the whole shinobi world found out Madara-sama was alive, and. Zetsu glanced at Uzumaki Jun. And still this young and powerful. What if the villages stopped fighting each other and united to take down Madara-sama first? What if they only resumed their wars after eliminating this living legend? Wouldn't all his efforts be meaningless then? Coward. Uzumaki Jun scoffed at Zetsu. Fine, I'll just call myself Uchiha Shin then. If they were going to be this timid, why even dabble in the underworld? Since the white-haired, knockoff Uchiha Shin hadn't appeared yet, borrowing his name shouldn't cause problems, right? If you're not a coward, why not just call yourself Uzumaki Jun? Where are you going? Zetsu asked helplessly. He might as well keep an eye on him. Otherwise, who knew what chaos he'd cause? Iwagakur. Uzumaki Jun grinned mysteriously. And put on this cloak. Uniforms make the team look professional. Chapter 111, Come, this is the script. Iwagakure, Kamizuru clan. They're here. Kamizuru opened his eyes, staring intently at the spatial fluctuation before him. A bitter smile rose in his heart. It had finally come to this. He put on a calm expression, but his tightly clenched fists revealed his inner turmoil. After all, the future of the Kamizuru clan would be decided from this moment onward. The space in the hall twisted for an instant, and then two figures wearing black cloaks with red clouds appeared. One was a strange human with a black and white face, and the other wore a one-eyed spiral mask. Kamizuru froze for a moment, frowning as he looked at the two before him. If he remembered correctly, the one who could use space-time ninjutsu was a red-haired kid, but these two? Who were they? Who are you? Kamizuru gripped his kunai, watching the two warily. Just as he was about to shout enemy attack, Uzumaki Jun removed his spiral mask and smiled at the Kamizuru clan leader. Are you the ones applying for immigration procedures? What? Kamizuru was stunned. Then, he frowned at Uzumaki Jun. This face seemed somewhat familiar. Have you decided? Uzumaki Jun looked at the vigilant Kamizuru. Stop staring. I just dyed my hair, that's all. It seemed his appearance was quite convincing. Sharingan. Kamizuru remained cautious, staring at Uzumaki Jun's eyes. Uchiha's. Oh, this. Uzumaki Jun removed his colored contact lens. Want one? Only 1,000,000 ryo. They look cool but don't do anything else. What the hell? Kamizuru was speechless. Since when did such things exist in the ninja world? He had no idea. Uzumaki clan? Kamizuru asked again. The alliance contract mentioned Uzumaki. Yes. Uzumaki Jun nodded. Current daimyo of Uzumaki Uzumaki Jun. The future god of shinobi? The 7-year-old Kage. Kamizuru exclaimed in surprise. This reputation was now widely known across the ninja world. Whether it was defeating Kirigakure or being a 7-year-old Kage, both were incredibly unbelievable feats. Ah! Uzumaki Jun was taken aback, not realizing his fame had grown so much. I'm 8 now. Was that the point? Zetsu beside him rolled his eyes. Ahem. Kamizuru ignored Uzumaki Jun's words and coughed lightly. With a serious tone, he asked, if the Kamizuru clan joins Uzumaki, what must we offer? Your lives and loyalty. Uzumaki Jun's gaze sharpened as he spoke coolly. This was the ninja world, after all. If he said nothing was required, they'd probably suspect Uzumaki had ulterior motives. Kamizuru opened his mouth. He didn't know what fate awaited the Kamizuru clan, or rather, he didn't know what kind of life the Kamizuru clan would have in Uzumaki. To demand such a pledge now as the clan leader, he couldn't guarantee it. Kamizuru sighed and looked at Uzumaki Jun. He opened his mouth but didn't know what to say. You don't need to promise now. Uzumaki Jun said. You can decide after arriving in Uzumaki. Kamizuru was stunned, then nodded solemnly. If Uzumaki does not betray us, the Kamizuru clan will be its most loyal ally. However, the Kamizuru clan will not act against Iwagakure's shinobi. Fine. Uzumaki Jun nodded. After all, only the older generation would hold such sentiments. The younger generation would enter the academy for education. By then, they would truly become citizens of Uzumaki. Otherwise, why would he build schools? Why teach ethics? Why promote patriotism? To cultivate loyalty. Strengthen the 4 consciousnesses, uphold the 4 confidences, and achieve the 2 upholds. In that case, seeing Uzumaki Jun agree, Kamizuru fell into deep thought and asked gravely, how will the Kamizuru clan? Immigrating at this time was no simple matter. Don't worry, we've planned it out. Uzumaki Jun smiled mysteriously and pulled out a few books. Read the script. You'll need to cooperate later. Don't laugh and ruin the scene. This was written by the system based on his ideas. The system typed incredibly fast. Uzumaki Jun put on his mask and colored contacts, speaking coldly, from now on, call me Uchiha Shin. Uzumaki. Lord Jun. Uzumaki Hibiki looked at the shadow clone before him and sighed helplessly. Won't we be discovered? Relax. The shadow clone said casually. As long as we don't act suspiciously, nothing will happen. Pretending to be at home wasn't anything new. Back then, he'd sneak out at night to go online after placing a doll in bed and tucking it in. Aside from feeling tired and weak the next day, hadn't he gotten away with it? And in the ninja world, with shadow clones as a cheat tool, it was foolproof. What about these documents? Uzumaki Hibiki pointed at the pile of papers. What should we do? Didn't I tell you to give them to the clan leader? The shadow clone asked. Why haven't you delivered them yet? But Uzumaki Hibiki looked at the shadow clone and sighed inwardly. Weren't you right here? But seeing Jun's narrowed eyes, he quickly straightened up. Yes. He responded promptly. Just as he was about to take the documents away. Come back. Uzumaki Jun suddenly frowned. Prepare supplies in the shelter, food, clothing, everything. Hey. Uzumaki Hibiki was startled but then nodded. Understood. Do it immediately. Make sure no one else finds out. Roger. Seeing Uzumaki Jun's serious expression, Uzumaki Hibiki knew this was urgent. Though he didn't understand the specifics. It seemed serious. Sigh, if there's an excuse to rest, why not take it? Uzumaki Jun stretched lazily as he watched Uzumaki Hibiki leave. To the system, which had split off along with the shadow clone, he said, send the message back. Everything is set for this phase. Kamizuru clan. Kamizuru stared at the script in his hands, utterly dumbfounded. He never expected such a plan. No wonder they were disguised as Uchiha, this was the reason. But wouldn't this screw over Konoha's Uchiha clan? After all, the two great clans of Konoha weren't having an easy time either. Relax. If things go wrong, we'll bring the Uchiha clan to Uzushiagaku too. Uzumaki Jun said casually. Zetsu and Kamizuru were speechless. This kid was truly wicked. Sorry, I need to discuss this with the elders. Kamizuru said solemnly. Fine, but hurry. Time is tight. Uzumaki Jun narrowed his eyes as he looked outside the Kamizuru clan compound. We're already surrounded. It seemed Nokia's decision to target the Kamizuru clan wasn't a spur-of-the-moment idea. He was already preparing for potential unrest. Chapter 112, Akatsuki? Organization's first operation, action. Kamizuru saw the silent conference room, opened his mouth as if wanting to say something, but ultimately couldn't utter a word. After all, no matter how you put it, this was betraying the village. Is this really necessary? One of the elders had tears in his eyes as he muttered, This is our home. Silence. The elder's gaze sharpened as he scanned the room and said helplessly, We can't go back anymore. The elder slumped into his chair. We are already hindering the village's development. Unless. In that case, let's go. Hearing the elder's words, everyone sighed and lowered their heads. They all knew what the elder meant by unless. It was allowing the entire Kamizuru clan to decline, reducing the number of Kamizuru clansmen. Only then would the other families in the village settle down. The Tsuchikage would then be able to consolidate enough authority. After all, the second Tsuchikage had just died, and this was the most chaotic period. For Noki to quickly rise to power, he needed to make an example. And the Kamizuru, violating regulations privately to seek revenge against Konoha. This excuse was just perfect. If that's how it is, then let's leave. One elder closed his tear-filled eyes and said, Let this old man stay behind. Haha, this old man is also too old to run around anymore. Another elder chuckled. The future of the Kamizuru clan will be left to the young ones. Right. Since we old folks refuse to leave, let's just bury ourselves here. Elders. Kamizuru, seeing this scene, also shed tears and said, I. He knew full well the fate of those who stayed behind. That was death. Of course, not at the hands of Uegakuer, but at the hands of Uzumaki Uchiha Shin, because for the Kamizuru to be annihilated, how could there be no casualties? No reaction? That was why the elders chose to stay. They couldn't bring themselves to betray the village. They wanted to use their deaths to alleviate the guilt in their hearts toward Uegakuer. If everyone agrees, the elder opened his eyes. The Kamizuru clan will begin executing the plan. Be discreet. Remember, there are still many in the clan loyal to the village. If word gets out, the Kamizuru clan will be left with no place to die. As for these people, let them stay in the village. The elder sighed. Only an old relic like him could say such things. After all, the clan leader must lead the Kamizuru clan to glory once more, so there absolutely cannot be any stains on his record. The stain of killing his own clansmen. Yes. All the elders' eyes sharpened. They knew these words were directed at them. The elder was asking them to take action, not wanting the clan leader's hands to be tainted with the blood of his own people. But since they were already going to die, let this guilt descend into hell with them. After all of this was for the sake of the clan. Ready. Uzumaki Jun lay on the cushion in the Kamizuru clan's main hall, eyes closed, yawning as he said, "If you're ready, hurry up. Transporting people is quite troublesome. How do I know you won't deceive the Kamizuru clan?" An old man leaning on a cane stepped forward and said sternly, "After all, this concerns the lives of the entire Kamizuru clan. You have no other choice. At this point, what else can you do?" Uzumaki Jun said helplessly, "Uzushiagakuer guarantees that all citizens of Uzushiagakuer are equal. The rest will depend on your own efforts. Of course, this applies only to citizens of Uzushiagakuer. And who are you?" "This old man is the elder of the Kamizuru clan." The elder said. "I hope what you say is true." His gaze sharpened as he released his imposing aura, staring at Uzumaki Jun. "Otherwise, this old man will not let you off." Tisk, tisk. "Just an elite Jainin." Zetsu sneered at the scene. "You should withdraw your aura. It won't work on this kid. Maybe you can try it on me." "A mere elite Jainin." The elder looked puzzled at Uzumaki Jun, who remained motionless, eyes still closed. "He's that 7-year-old Kage." Kamizuru whispered into the elder's ear. "He's a Kage. You can't intimidate him." Instantly, the elder was shocked, staring at Uzumaki Jun. So this was the Kage who had caused such a stir in the shinobi world. But why does he have black hair? Wasn't he supposed to have red hair? And his eyes are closed? Is he a squinter? Uzumaki Jun opened his eyes and said, "I'm already 8 years old." Zetsu looked speechlessly at Uzumaki Jun. "Is that the important part here?" "Mange. Mangeki." Seeing the single eye Uzumaki Jun opened, the elder was stunned. "Oh, this thing. Black hair, and the Sharingan, they're all fake." Uzumaki Jun took off his colored contacts again and said, "Want a set? Dyeing your hair is nice too. Makes you look younger." The scene fell into silence once more. Even Zetsu wondered if coming here was the right decision. This kid was clearly not on the same wavelength as them. Always promoting products in front of others. Ha ha ha. The elder burst into laughter upon seeing Uzumaki Jun admit it. "Now this old man believes you. A true powerhouse would never stoop to such tricks. If you wanted to annihilate the Kamizuru clan, you could just do it directly. Why go through all this trouble?" Hearing the elder's words, Uzumaki Jun narrowed his eyes and cursed inwardly. "Old fox! What, a true powerhouse would never stoop to such tricks? You must have some misunderstanding about shinobi. Humph! You just want me to remember that I'm a top-tier powerhouse in the shinobi world, and the decisions I make can't be casually broken. Otherwise, it would tarnish the dignity of a powerhouse." But would Uzumaki Jun fear this? Not to mention he genuinely just wants to recruit people. Even if that weren't the case, he's just a child. If he makes a mistake, he'll be forgiven. In that case, tell me when we start transporting people. Uzumaki Jun said helplessly. Let's finish the act quickly and wrap it up. Ahem. Ignoring Uzumaki Jun's nonsense, the clan leader coughed twice and said solemnly, Tonight. There are still some matters we need to resolve. His gaze turned cold as he looked toward the entrance of the hall. Fine. Uzumaki Jun nodded. First, evacuate the elderly, weak, sick, disabled, women, and children. Civilians take priority. Hearing Uzumaki Jun's words, the clan leader and elder were taken aback. Then, a faint smile appeared on their lips as they nodded. Agreed. Then go prepare. Uzumaki Jun lay back down. Call me when it's time. Thank you for your trouble. Kamizuru led the elder away. Tonight. would be extremely busy. Uzumaki Jun didn't bother asking what the Kamizuru clan planned to do. He turned to Zetsu and said, "There's something I might need your help with." "Sorry, I'm just here to cheer." Zetsu refused outright. He'd read the script. When the battle at Iwagakure breaks out, what's a weakling like him supposed to do? Staying hidden is the right move. After all, saving Mother is his mission. It doesn't conflict with your cheering duties. You can do both. Uzumaki Jun smiled and formed hand seals, shouting, summoning jutsu. With a poof, a set of black equipment appeared in front of Zetsu. Professional-grade filming equipment. Uzumaki Jun handed Zetsu a manual. "Here's the instruction manual. Later, I need you to record the footage of Uchiha Madara battling Iwagakure. After all, this is our organization's first official mission. We should keep some mementos. In the future, we can show it to the younger generation, let them see how powerful and mighty our organization is. It'll help strengthen the organization's unity and morale. No, you're Uchiha Shin. Also, this is just your own business. It has nothing to do with Madara-sama." Zetsu looked at the equipment speechlessly. "And where did you get all these weird things?" Chapter 113, The Man Who Uses Regular Jutsu Like Forbidden Jutsu. Night. Onoki stood frowning on the roof of the Tsuchikage building, gazing in the direction of the Kamizuru clan's compound. For some reason, he had been feeling uneasy all night, but nothing unusual had happened. The village was peaceful and quiet, with everyone slowly recovering from the scars of war. Moreover, the hidden rock village was located in a natural fortress, easy to defend and hard to attack. Among the 5 great shinobi villages, it was renowned for its solid defense. Besides, this was a time of peace. Who would dare start a war now? But what was this oppressive feeling about? How has the Kamizuru clan been lately? Onoki asked his Tsuchikage assistant. There hasn't been any movement. An old man shook his head and replied, "They've stayed in their compound these past few days and haven't come out." Sigh. The Tsuchikage sighed but didn't say anything more. He thought of the first Tsuchikage, that stubborn yet bold and straightforward old man who never dwelt on trivial matters. It was that day when the first taught him the will of stone. This will allowed him and his teacher, Mu, to stand up again after being defeated by Uchiha Madara. Though in the end, it was because Uchiha Madara held back that nothing serious happened. But it was the will of stone that taught him resilience, taught him to be unyielding and unwavering. This oppressive feeling is so familiar. Onoki muttered to himself, then shook his head with a smile. Impossible, Uchiha Madara is long. Besides, he was now the Tsuchikage. Even if he were to encounter him again. Onoki clenched his fist behind his back and said firmly, he would not back down. However, before Onoki could finish his words. Fire style, Great Fireball Jutsu. A loud explosion erupted from the direction of the Kamizuru clan. Got it all. Looking at the now empty Kamizuru mansion, the only ones left here were old men waiting to die. Of course, there were also 2 figures wearing black cloaks with red clouds. Basically got it. Zetsu nodded and said, I say, what are you still doing this for at a time like this? This was an invasion. An invasion of the hidden rock village, one of the 5 great shinobi villages. And this kid was still thinking about filming. Gotta take more photos while I'm young. Uzumaki Jun sighed as he looked at the dark night outside, then smiled and said, make sure I look handsome. Maybe this will become our recruitment poster in the future. Zetsu lowered his head. He didn't want to talk to this kid anymore. This kid wasn't as simple as his age suggested. Every time he asked a question, the kid would divert the topic with something irrelevant. Uzumaki Jun didn't mind Zetsu either. Looking at the remaining Kamizuru clansmen, he said, ready. Yes. The Kamizuru elder nodded solemnly. We can begin. Don't look so serious. You need to look sad, like you're mourning. Uzumaki Jun said helplessly, seeing the old man's expression as if he were carrying out a mission. Think about your clansmen who died. Oh, sorry, I forgot those people were actually killed by you all. Instantly. All the elders' faces darkened. This nasty little brat. Seeing everyone was ready, Uzumaki Jun calmly put on his mask and said coldly, from now on, address me as Uchiha Madara. Zetsu put down the camera equipment and looked speechlessly at the kid who was clearly here to stir up trouble. Uchiha Shin. You're called Uchiha Shin. Damn it! Onoki exclaimed as he looked at the flames in the distance. That's a fire jutsu. Enemy attack. He immediately used the earth-style, ultra-lightweight rock technique and floated toward the site of the attack. Seeing the massive flames, his worry grew. The Kamizuru clan, what are they trying to do? Onoki narrowed his eyes and muttered, don't make things difficult for me. After all, no one in the Kamizuru clan knew fire jutsu, yet these enormous flames were coming from their direction. Could it be that, dissatisfied with their land being reclaimed without compensation, the Kamizuru clan had allied with outsiders to stage a coup? And this jutsu gave him a familiar sense of dread. Very familiar. Onoki stared intently at the Kamizuru clan's territory. That night, the entire Hidden Rock village was thrown into chaos. The Iwanin began evacuating civilians and rushed toward the Kamizuru clan's territory. The terrifying sea of flames shocked everyone who saw it. Just how much chakra did this require? Uzumaki Jun was also startled by his own jutsu. Wasn't this just a C-rank fire style, great fireball jutsu? Why did it look like a forbidden jutsu when he used it? This is due to the enhancement from jutsu level and chakra level. When Uzumaki Jun voiced his confusion, the system's explanation made him understand. No wonder, with level 20 jutsu and chakra, it seemed he had become a powerhouse like Madara, where even ordinary jutsu had effects comparable to forbidden techniques. The Kamizuru clansmen and Zetsu were also stunned by this sight, especially Zetsu. This jutsu. White Zetsu gulped and said, it's almost on par with Lord Madara's. He turned to their leader, Black Zetsu. Is this still just a cage? This is practically the god of shinobi already. Shut up, just do your job. Black Zetsu said. Nothing else concerns us. Fine, fine. Zetsu shrugged and continued adjusting the camera equipment, saying to another white Zetsu nearby, light it properly, and keep your hands steady. However, Black Zetsu was also filled with astonishment. How had this kid suddenly become so strong? The last time he saw him, he already sensed something unusual about his aura, but now his eyes narrowed sharply. Perhaps in a few years, this kid will become an obstacle to Mother's revival. Uzumaki Jun didn't know that Zetsu, upon seeing this scene, had briefly considered killing him. Even if he did know, he wouldn't care, because Zetsu was just a weakling. Forming another hand seal, he shouted, fire style, Phoenix Sage Fire Jutsu. Uzumaki Jun really didn't dare to use A rank or B rank jutsu casually. If a C rank was this terrifying, higher ranks would be even worse. What if the Kamizuru clan, seeing their beloved village destroyed by him, decided to abandon the act? What if they exposed the land of whirlpools? After all, these old men still loved the Hidden Rock village. Burning down the Kamizuru clan's territory to make it look like they were wiped out was enough. Anything beyond that would be too much. And the show had already started, why were they still spacing out? So he decided to use a jutsu to wake them up. Suddenly sensing danger, Uzumaki Jun sidestepped and kicked, then retreated to see an Iwanin elite standing before him. Without hesitation, he charged forward, kunao flashing. One down. With his cage-level taijutsu, he feared no one. And right now, he was Uchiha Madara Shin. Everyone knew the Uchiha were skilled in taijutsu. So better not use the Flying Thunder God technique recklessly. Chapter 114, No, Uchiha Madara isn't that short. Dust release, detachment of the primitive world technique. Just as Uzumaki Jun was happily setting fires, a voice came from behind. Uzumaki Jun turned around and sure enough, the big-nosed Tsuchikage had arrived. After a white glowing jutsu was released, the flames were instantly extinguished. Uzumaki Jun didn't attack again but instead crossed his arms. A true expert must maintain the demeanor of an expert. Uzumaki no, Uchiha Shin coldly watched the Tsuchikage, no ki. At any rate, the Kamizuru clan had already been burned to ashes. Probably the interrogation team wouldn't be able to extract any information from this pile of ashes, right? After putting out the fire, Noki turned around furiously to see who dared cause trouble in Uegakuer. A mask, a black cloak with red clouds, and the Mangeki Sharingan. Noki was stunned. He asked gravely, a member of the Uchiha clan. He immediately ordered the ninja behind him to hide the tailed beasts. The collector of treasures had arrived. But Uzumaki Jun still ignored him, his gaze icy as he formed hand seals and coldly declared, "Fire release, dragon fire technique." He directly spewed flames at Noki. Though the size of the fire dragon was terrifying, Noki wasn't one to back down. After all, he was a cage. He absolutely couldn't retreat. Dust release, detachment of the primitive world technique. He instantly created a transparent cube in front of him to block the fire dragon. And then, earth release, rock golem. Summoning a giant stone monster, he sent it charging at the Uchiha member. "Uchiha, are you trying to start a war between the villages?" Noki shouted, frowning. Since the Uchiha were Konoha shinobi, why would one appear in Uegakure now? Did Konoha want to go to war with Uegakure? Looking down at the ruins of the Kamizuru clan, now reduced to ashes, only a few elders remained, kneeling on the ground in despair. Was this person not hired by the Kamizuru clan? Then, was this truly just an invasion? Had Uchiha Shin sneered but didn't respond. Instead, he formed another hand seal. Fire release, great fireball technique. Instantly obliterating the stone giant. At that moment, "You monster!" The Kamizuru clan's elder, tears in his eyes, roared at Uchiha Shin, "The Kamizuru are finished." Then, he rushed forward, seemingly intent on fighting Uchiha Shin to the death. But Uchiha Shin simply unleashed another fire jutsu, reducing him to ashes. At this point, no corpses could be left behind. Otherwise, the interrogation team might extract something from them. Seeing the elder turn to ashes, the remaining elders, tears in their eyes, launched suicidal charges. Uzumaki Jun sighed inwardly. Truly, decades-old veterans knew how to put on a convincing act. Seeing this, Noki's eyelids twitched. Why did it seem like these Kamizuru elders were all committing suicide? Had they lost the will to live after seeing their clan destroyed? But, as the village leader, he couldn't allow this to happen before his eyes. As a cage, he had the power and responsibility to protect every villager. "Stop!" Noki shouted, preparing to use a jutsu win. Fire release. In an instant, all of them were burned to ashes by Uzumaki Jun. Noki's fury erupted. He roared, "Damn Uchiha! Dust release, detachment of the primitive world technique." But fire release, great flame technique. Uzumaki Jun unleashed a B-rank wall of flames. After all, this was dust release. He was still young, better to be cautious. Damn it! Seeing his jutsu blocked, Noki glared angrily and bellowed, "With such power, you can't be some nobody. Who are you? With such chakra, such jutsu, such taijutsu, and those eyes that made the entire shinobi world tremble, could it be?" "Hat!" Uzumaki Jun sneered. "Ants are unworthy of knowing my name. So it's true." Hearing that icy voice, Noki's expression turned horrified. His eyes widened as he said, "You are Uchiha Madara." Hearing Noki's guess, Uzumaki Jun wasn't sure whether to nod or shake his head. But considering the Uchiha's usual aloof demeanor, he paused briefly before. Fire release, great fireball technique. And in an instant, he appeared behind Noki. "Would you like to dance?" All the Zetsu watching this scene were speechless. This kid was truly despicable. Hadn't he said he was Uchiha Shin? Why was he impersonating Madara now? And the mission was already over. Why set more fires? Just leave already. What do we do now? The white Zetsu looked at each other before all turning to Black Zetsu, waiting for his decision. However, Black Zetsu had something he wanted to say but couldn't. How was he supposed to know what to do now? He was just as desperate. He couldn't fight, couldn't intimidate. If only Madara were still in his prime. He could easily teach this brat a lesson with the Rinnegan. But now, survival was key. Survival was everything. After all, he had a great mission to fulfill. But he absolutely couldn't let these people know Madara was still alive. "Let's retreat," Black Zetsu said helplessly. "We should leave now." And then he merged back into Black and White Zetsu. Noki, hearing the voice behind him, immediately leaped back to create distance. If this was Uchiha Madara, he definitely couldn't match him in taijutsu. And Uchiha Madara should have been old by now. Why did this person seem so young? Unless He had achieved immortality. A terrifying thought flashed through Noki's mind. And that icy voice, "Would you like to dance?" instantly reignited his deepest fears. Uchiha Madara. Noki growled, glaring at the Uchiha before him. Yet Uzumaki Jun still didn't respond, unleashing another fire jutsu. After all, he hadn't said it, this big-nosed guy had guessed it himself. He knew nothing. But another figure in a black cloak with red clouds appeared beside Uzumaki Jun. Noki, thinking another powerful foe had arrived, immediately went on guard, watching as the figure materialized. "Lord Shin, the mission is complete. We should retreat now," Zetsu said flatly. He had to step in and clarify, or who knew how long this kid would keep acting. Uzumaki Jun sighed inwardly. It seemed his Uchiha Madara act was over, thanks to this damn Zetsu. But whatever. The mission was done. "We got what we came for," Uzumaki Jun said coldly. "In that case, use your space-time jutsu to take us away." Zetsu stared blankly at Uzumaki Jun. "What thing? What space-time jutsu? What was this? This wasn't in the script. Wasn't he just supposed to leave?" "Director, someone's going off script." As for Noki, "You're not Madara." Hearing the strange figure's words, Noki suppressed his fear and declared firmly, "Uchiha Madara wasn't that short." Silence fell over the scene. Uzumaki Jun suddenly felt the urge to kill this big-nosed bastard. Chapter 115, Have you familiarized yourself with Uzushiagakure's laws? Uzumaki Jun returned to Uzushiagakure using the Flying Thunder God technique, his face masked and his expression foul. As for Zetsu, it seemed to sense the bad mood of the kid before it. Once they arrived in Uzushiagakure, it immediately used earth release to slip away. The killing intent radiating from the kid was too strong. Zetsu believed its life was precious. After all, it bore a 1,000-year mission of great importance. How could it afford to put itself in danger? So, the moment they reached their destination, it fled without hesitation. Uzumaki Jun looked around his office. His shadow clone was not here, meaning it was likely in the underground hideout. He quickly removed his disguise. This identity of his could not be exposed. Even within the Kamizuru clan, aside from the clan head, most members did not know that this masked man was actually the daimyo of Uzushiagakure. To prevent Uzushiagakure from being caught in a storm of rumors, this identity had to remain hidden from too many people. After packing everything away and changing into his usual Uzushiagakure attire, he immediately used the Flying Thunder God technique to teleport to the underground hideout. He wanted to see what his shadow clone was doing and how the Kamizuru clan was settling in. He had ordered the Kamizuru clan to stay underground for now and not go to the surface. After all, the spies within Uzushiagakure had not yet been fully dealt with. If other villages found out, Uzushiagakure would be finished. And have the Kamizuru clan finished memorizing Uzushiagakure's laws? In Uegakure, Noki stared blankly at the spot where the two figures in black cloaks with red clouds had disappeared. Frowning, he muttered, "Space-time ninjutsu." He had not expected the person who appeared later to know space-time ninjutsu. Tsuchikage-sama. The Iwanin quickly gathered around him. What should we do now? The battle just now had been too dangerous. They had not even been able to intervene. Even the elite Jainin had been taken down in a single move. What are the losses? Noki asked, floating in midair with a grim expression. Aside from this street and the Kamizuru clan, the Iwanin glanced at the charred remains of the Kamizuru clan and said carefully, "There are no other major damages. Just yesterday, they had been a prominent clan. Today, nothing was left." Noki sighed in relief upon hearing that the losses were not severe. It seemed these terrorists who had invaded Uegakure had a specific objective. But what was the thing the Uchiha mentioned they had obtained? And why had the Kamizuru clan been wiped out? Did they know something? Or did they possess something? But Noki glanced at the annihilated Kamizuru clan, reduced to ashes, and sighed. Clean up the scene. Also, notify the Elder Council. We will hold a meeting. There was nothing left to investigate. Yes. The Iwanin acknowledged the order and dispersed to carry out their tasks. Tonight would be a sleepless night. Manjiki Noki murmured, gazing at the starry night sky. To think another Uchiha had awakened the Manjiki Sharingan. He wondered what changes this would bring to the shinobi world. Uchiha Madara. Konoha. How should Uegakur position itself? Uzushiagakur, underground hideout. Brother Miji, why did the clan leader bring us here? A young Kamizuru child asked the older boy beside him in confusion. Weren't we doing fine in the village? The clan leader must have his reasons, Kamizuru Miji said, patting the child's head. We should just stay here quietly. But the child pouted. Why do we have to stay here all the time? He wanted to return to the village. He still had friends there. Don't worry, we'll be able to leave in a few days, Kamizuru Miji said with a smile, though a trace of worry flashed in his eyes. He knew why the clan leader had brought the Kamizuru clan out of Uegakur. During their last mission and upon their return, they had noticed that many shinobi in the village seemed to avoid the Kamizuru. No matter what, the Kamizuru clan was one of the village's noble clans. Yet this time, upon returning, it was clear someone in the village was targeting them, and this person held a high position. Considering the clan leader's decision to leave, they already knew who was behind it. The Tsuchikage Kamizuru Miji muttered. He did not understand why the village leader distrusted the Kamizuru clan so much. The Kamizuru clan would never do anything to harm the village's interests. And this time, only a portion of the Kamizuru clan had come to Uzushiagakur. The others must have. Kamizuru Miji could guess their fate. They had been loyalists to the village. But he would not speak of this. None of those who understood would. Such a painful truth was better left unspoken. Don't worry, Kamizuru Miji said, ruffling the child's hair. The clan leader will. Before he could finish. Who's there? Kamizuru Miji sensed an abnormal chakra fluctuation and turned sharply. Upon seeing the figure, he relaxed and bowed respectfully. Jun-sama. He knew this child was the infamous 7-year-old Kage spoken of throughout the shinobi world. And also, their future employer. Uzumaki Jun nodded. Where is your clan leader? Inside, Kamizuru Miji pointed deeper into the hideout. Then he paused. He remembered that Jun-sama had been inside earlier, discussing matters with the clan leader. So this one. What was going on? Had Jun-sama used space-time ninjutsu to leave and then returned? Uzumaki Jun did not explain. He nodded and walked further inside. When can we leave? Kamizuru asked. They had been here for several days now. Without sunlight or flowers, the bees would die. It should be within the next few days, the shadow clone replied with a smile. I just received word that the matter has been resolved. The reason you can't leave yet is because the spies in Uzushiagakur haven't been fully dealt with. They will be taken care of soon. After that. Oh, the original is back. The shadow clone noticed Uzumaki Jun entering. For some reason, after hearing the system's report, it felt like laughing. It walked over and patted the original's shoulder. Don't worry, we're only 8 years old. It's normal to be short. However, Uzumaki Jun immediately punched it, dispelling it. This bastard. He had not wanted to bring this up, yet the clone had to mention it. The biggest flaw in this operation was not wearing the Tobi disguise. Otherwise, things would not have turned out like this. The Tobi disguise could alter body shape and even boost attributes. He had forgotten that he was still just a child, not yet grown to 180 centimeters. What a shame. Uzumaki Jun sighed inwardly. Otherwise, he could have used this chance to promote Madara. But in the end, Noki was not as short as he would be by year 60 in the original timeline. By comparing heights, he had been exposed. If only he had not been so reckless. Why had he even gone behind Noki and invited him to dance? This was all the consequence of being too careless. Jun-sama. Kamizuru saw Uzumaki Jun return and understood that everything the Kamizuru clan had left behind in Uegakur was now history. From now on, there would be no Kamizuru clan of Uegakur. Chapter 116, You are under arrest. Early morning. Today, shocking news spread throughout the shinobi world from Uegakur. Last night, Uegakur was attacked by unknown individuals, suffering heavy losses. According to statements released by the Tsuchikage, Noki, it appears that a legendary weapon from the Six Paths, passed down for 1,000 years in Uegakur, was stolen. At the same time, the renowned Kamizuru clan was completely slaughtered. Based on the scene, the criminal's methods were extremely cruel. Tsuchikage Noki solemnly warned all major villages to be cautious, especially regarding a person with the Manjiki Sharingan who appeared last night. That person was incredibly strong. If not for his short stature, Noki would have suspected it was Uchiha Madara. Therefore, he reminded everyone. Be wary of the Konoha no, the Uchiha clan. At the same time, safeguard your personal belongings to prevent thieves from taking advantage. Konoha. Sarutobi Hiruzen slammed the intelligence report from the ANBU onto the table and looked at the Council of Elders. What do you think? After all, Uchiha Madara had been dead for years, how could it be him? As for the Uchiha clan, none of them had awakened the Manjiki Sharingan recently. But the terrifying fire release techniques and that Manjiki Sharingan clearly indicated that the attacker was from the Uchiha clan. Could the Uchiha clan be hiding something? Had they secretly awakened a new Manjiki user? Is the information accurate? Yuditen Kohara frowned as she looked at the report. Could this be fake news spread by Iwagakure? Did Iwagakure even possess a legendary weapon from the Six Paths? Konoha had fought against Iwagakure for so many years, how had they never heard of this? Yes, Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded solemnly. Our spies in Iwagakure have confirmed it. Last night, Iwagakure was indeed attacked, and one of the assailants possessed the Manjiki Sharingan. But since they wore a mask, their identity remains unknown. In that case, Yuditen Kohara frowned, it might not necessarily be the Uchiha. But she couldn't continue. After all, apart from Konoha, no other village had the Uchiha clan. And the Manjiki Sharingan. Only the Uchiha clan could possess it. Sarutobi Hiruzen sighed. If this matter wasn't resolved, it would damage Konoha's reputation, especially given that Tsuchikage's insinuations almost outright accusing Konoha of theft. But Konoha had nothing to do with this. We should consult the Uchiha clan head, Yuditen Kohara said helplessly. Continuing to speculate won't help. At the same time, we must publicly declare that Konoha is not involved. That's the only option. Sarutobi Hiruzen took a puff from his pipe, his eyes filled with worry. But this Manjiki user, could they pose a threat to Konoha? Ever since the second Hokage restricted the Uchiha clan's activities, awakening the Sharingan had become difficult for them, let alone the Manjiki. Who was this Manjiki user? Did they harbor hatred toward Konoha? These questions were crucial. Sarutobi Hiruzen suddenly missed Danzo. If only he were here now. Danzo would have immediately led route to arrest Uchiha clansmen, secretly interrogating them one by one to catch the Uchiha off guard. But as Hokage, he couldn't do that. Mental interrogation techniques caused severe psychological damage. And arresting people without reason would harm his benevolent image. Where is Danzo now? Sarutobi Hiruzen turned to the ANBU beside him. Still in Uzumaki. Yes, the ANBU captain nodded. Dan-sama is still in Uzumaki. He said he wants to investigate Uzumaki true intentions. Sarutobi Hiruzen sighed, rubbing his forehead. Was his old friend planning something again? Order him to return immediately. Yes. Uzumaki. This morning, the citizens of Uzumaki sensed an unusual tension in the air. The Uzunin marched in formation toward a certain location, as if something major was about to happen. What's going on? A young citizen asked his friend nervously. Why do the Uzunin look so serious? Not sure, his friend replied, but something big must have happened. Obviously. Wait, isn't that where you lives? The young man suddenly exclaimed. Did you break some law? He knew Ye was a refugee who had recently settled in Uzumaki. Due to his hard work and physical strength, he had earned enough to buy a house outright. Just a few days ago, he had even gotten married. How could he already be in trouble? Let's follow them, the young man said urgently. We need to see what's happening. He was close to Ye and hoped his crime wasn't too severe. But given the Uzunin's expressions, it couldn't be anything minor. His friend hesitated but eventually followed. He was also on good terms with Ye. Ye, what's going on? A woman in her early 20s looked confused as she watched the Uzunin approaching their home. She turned to her husband with concern. Why are there so many Uzunin? Clink! Ye's glass slipped from his hand, shattering on the floor. He stared blankly outside, a terrible premonition rising in his chest. He suddenly felt the urge to flee. But when he glanced at his newlywed wife beside him, he hesitated. If he ran, what would happen to Hanaka? What's wrong? Hanaka waved a hand in front of his face. Are you feeling unwell? Maybe you should take the day off. I'll take you to see a doctor later. Ah, Ye snapped out of his daze and forced a smile. It's nothing. Just a bit tired. He crouched to pick up the broken glass. This cup. What a shame. It was part of a pair he and Hanaka had bought for their wedding, not cheap at all. But Hanaka had loved them. A faint smile tugged at his lips. Be careful. Hanaka gasped, grabbing his hand. You're bleeding. She quickly brought his finger to her lips. I'll clean this up later. Ye watched her silently, then smiled. It's just a small cut. There, Hanaka released his hand, satisfied that the bleeding had stopped. She looked at him seriously. Ye, are you hiding something from me? Ye paused before smiling again. Of course not. Don't worry, I'm just tired. But you, Hanaka bit her lip. You shouldn't go to work today. Let's see a doctor later. Seeing his reluctance, she frowned. Listen to me. All right, all right. Ye chuckled, cupping her face. I'll listen to you. As he watched her smile, his heart ached. If only time could slow down. But I'm sorry, Hanaka. Maybe soon, I won't be able to see you anymore. Attention inside. Naoyiri, you are under arrest. A loud voice suddenly rang out from outside. Chapter 117, People Below, Listen. Land of Whirlpools. This was an undeveloped area far from the residential zones of the Land of Whirlpools. Uzumaki Jun led a group of Uzunin, standing ready as they arrived near a small mountain. Zetsu said it should be here, right? Uzumaki Jun muttered while looking at the map in his hand. A few days ago, Zetsu had handed over the information and locations of the spies, but due to organizational team-building activities, they hadn't gone to capture them until now. And today? It's good weather. Uzumaki Jun glanced at the clear blue sky with satisfaction. If they didn't clean them out today, then when would they? Lord Jun, what should we do now? Uzunin frowned as he stared at the large mountain before them. No matter how he looked, it didn't seem like there were people here. Don't rush. Uzumaki Jun said, then closed his eyes. After raising his yang attribute to level 20, his vitality and sensory abilities had also strengthened. Hey! Uzumaki Jun was surprised as he looked underground. He had thought Danzo and his men would dig out a cave, but instead, they were actually living in a burrow. As expected of the leader of Root, had he gotten so used to living in holes that he couldn't change his habits? Uzumaki Jun pointed at the ground and said to the Uzunin beside him, call them out. After all, they were civilized enforcers. They wouldn't act recklessly. The Uzunin was stunned for a moment before regaining his composure. He shouted loudly toward the ground, hey people below, listen to me. Who would have thought someone would actually hide underground? Which village's ninja were they? Couldn't they just dig a cave instead of this? People below, listen. You have already been. Lord Danzo, what should we do now? The Root Jainin exchanged uneasy glances. How had they been discovered? And why weren't these Uzunin attacking directly? What was the point of shouting like this? Humph. Danzo's face darkened. Someone actually dared to challenge him on his own turf? Which one of you was spotted? He glared at his subordinates, but seeing the confused expressions on all their faces, he barked angrily, useless trash. They didn't even know how they had been exposed. Truly useless. Danzo knew they couldn't stay here any longer, but have you all completed the tasks I assigned you? Danzo stared at them coldly. After so many days, had they still not succeeded? However, everyone remained silent. Danzo turned his head to look at the pile of books beside him and also fell silent. Useless trash. After so many days, this was all they had obtained? The ceramic making techniques, cement making techniques, glass making techniques. What kind of worthless things had they brought back instead? Especially. Danzo's face turned livid as he grabbed one of the books. Who brought this? Quotations of Lord Jun. Seeing that there was still no response, Uzumaki Jun sighed and muttered, this is such a headache. If he had a choice, he really wouldn't want to meet Danzo so soon. What if he couldn't hold back and ended up killing him? After all, Maintaining the balance of power among the major villages in the shinobi world required Danzo, the friend of all villages. Call a few people over to reinforce the foundation. Uzumaki Jun said helplessly. Let's see if they still refuse to come out. Why wasn't the darkness of the shinobi staying in Konoha to maintain peace? What was he doing here? Learning advanced socialist ideology? Leading Konoha into a new era of socialism? Don't joke around. If that were the case, even his best friend wouldn't be able to stand him. Hiruzen would be the first one to try and kill him. Yes. A construction squad leader stepped forward and said. This four-man construction team was borrowed from Uzumaki Jun's father. They seemed to be an elite house-building squad. Earth style. However, before they could activate their jutsu, the ground began to crack open. Several figures emerged. Danzo's face was dark as he looked at the Uzunin before him, especially when his gaze fell on the 8-year-old figure. His pupils shrank slightly before he calmly said, "What do you want with me?" Seeing Danzo's shameless response, Uzumaki Jun immediately stepped forward and declared sternly, "You have violated the Land of Whirlpool's immigration regulations." Ha! Danzo was dumbfounded by Uzumaki Jun's words. Sigh. Uzumaki Jun sighed helplessly. You entered the Land of Whirlpools without registering with the relevant authorities, illegally occupied its land, and caused severe losses to the nation. No education, truly terrifying. So, you're saying the Land of Whirlpools doesn't welcome me? Danzo's sharp gaze bore into Uzumaki Jun. However, this is illegal immigration, Uncle Danzo. Uzumaki Jun said casually. This is against the law. Did Danzo think he could intimidate him? He had faced down cage-level opponents before. Though it was a pity he hadn't seen any of the Six Paths tools. Against the law. Danzo was stunned before regaining his composure. I was unaware of this. It's written in the Land of Whirlpool's constitution. Didn't Uncle Danzo read it? Uzumaki Jun glanced at the pile of books behind Danzo. One of them, thoroughly worn out, was. What was Danzo planning to do with these things? Start a revolution in Konoha? And what the hell was quotations of Lord Jun? Uzumaki Jun was speechless. After this, would Danzo, the scheming old fox, become an advanced socialist intellectual and pioneer socialist reforms in Konoha? No, wait, the second in the shinobi world. Danzo also noticed the books behind him. He had thought that since these were common books everyone had, there would be nothing unusual about them being seen. But now, damn it, had the root ninja become so obsessed with jutsu that they'd lost their minds? Couldn't they at least have hidden them? Now, Danzo narrowed his eyes and looked coldly at Uzumaki Jun. Having spent decades in the shinobi world, he had faced far more humiliating situations than this. Today's incident was nothing more than a minor inconvenience. Did they really think the darkness of the shinobi was just for show? Without changing his expression, he said, I know nothing about this. If the Land of Whirlpools doesn't welcome Konoha, then I shall leave. Causing trouble? Seeing Danzo trying to weasel his way out with deceit, Uzumaki Jun immediately released his killing intent and said in an icy voice, This is the Land of Whirlpools, not Konoha. If you've broken the law, then submit to punishment obediently. He turned to the Uzunin beside him. Seal their chakra, then have the clan leader send a notice to Konoha. Let Konoha come and retrieve them themselves. Did they really think the Land of Whirlpools feared Konoha? You. Danzo's face darkened when he saw this brat being so disrespectful, even demanding that Konoha come to collect them. He wanted to attack. Kill anyone who resists arrest on the spot. Uzumaki Jun's voice was freezing as he smiled at Danzo. Uncle Danzo won't act recklessly, right? Danzo snorted but did not move. He had sensed killing intent just now, that overwhelming, bloodthirsty aura. If he acted rashly, this brat would truly kill him. The darkness of the shinobi hadn't even become Hokage yet. How could he die so easily? A true man knew when to yield. He would settle this score with this brat sooner or later. At this moment, Danzo touched his bandaged right eye, his desire for power growing even stronger. Seeing their boss not resisting, the root members also surrendered without a fight. Uzumaki Jun nodded in satisfaction. As expected of the rat, even Madara had praised. Even in this situation, he still refused to lose his temper. Suddenly remembering something, Uzumaki Jun formed a hand seal. Summoning Jutsu. He handed Danzo a book. The Art of Workplace Scheming. Without the ambition to replace your superiors, you will never achieve greatness. Read this book. It'll do you good. Chapter 118, This Dog Blood Incident. Uzumaki Jun did not know whether the book he gave to Danzo would be useful. That book did not contain any strange content. It merely discussed some workplace survival and development techniques, such as being open-minded, modest, striving for benefits while charging forward, targeting superiors, and other motivational words. As for whether Danzo would improve after reading this, a person who even wanted to dig out his good friend's eyes and his good friend's son's eyes. How could he possibly reform? Uzumaki Jun just wanted Danzo to become smarter, more modest, and not be constantly fooled by Hiruzen Tobi. He needed to learn how to win people over. Only then would he have a chance to kill him and become the village leader. As for the outcome, whether it would turn into a large-scale palace intrigue drama in Konoha, these had nothing to do with Uzumaki Jun. Right now, Uzumaki goal was to deal with the remaining spies. Of course, these spies were quite easy to handle. As long as their chakra was sealed, they could just notify their village leaders to bring money to ransom them. After all, Uzumaki was a nation that treated prisoners well. As for whether their village leaders would come to ransom them, or what would happen to them after they returned, these had nothing to do with Uzumaki. They just needed to remember that Uzumaki treated prisoners well and was a nation filled with love and peace. And if no one came to ransom them in the end, these ninjas might just end up becoming Konohas. What's going on? Uzumaki Jun frowned as he looked at the noisy scene before him. Hadn't he instructed the Uzunin to enforce the law civilly and not cause trouble? They just needed to take the people away. Why was there such a crowd gathered here? Lord Jun. A Uzunin noticed Jun suddenly appearing beside him and respectfully said, "There's a bit of trouble." Uzumaki Jun nodded and asked, "Just arrest them directly. If they resist, then just resisting the law, what else could they do? Did they think they were in Konoha?" It's just the Uzunin hesitated for a moment before sighing, unsure how to explain. "Forget it, I'll see for myself." Uzumaki Jun grew curious. "Everyone, make way. What exactly was going on here?" "Step aside." Ye grabbed Hanaka's arm, trying to pull the woman shielding him away, and said helplessly, "Hanaka, trust me. Nothing will happen." "Madam, we are Uzunin, here under Lord Jun's orders to arrest a spy," a Uzunin said with a headache. "We hope you will not resist the law." This was the first time they had encountered such a situation. The Uzunin had no idea what to do. Hadn't Lord Jun instructed them to enforce the law civilly and not disturb the people? Otherwise, they would have already taken action. "No, Ye is not a spy," Hanaka said with tears in her eyes, resolutely. "You must have made a mistake. If it's a mistake, we will release him." The Uzunin quickly explained. "We will never wrong an innocent person, nor will we let any bad person go. So please step aside." "However, no." Hanaka still shook her head firmly, raising her head to look at the Uzunin with determination. "I will never let anyone take you away." The Uzunin looked at each other, unsure what to do. After all, this was their first time enforcing the law. If it were like before, they wouldn't be so troubled. "Hanaka, step aside." Ye smiled at his wife, his eyes filled with love, and said, "Nothing will happen to me. Just wait for me at home." "But..." Hanaka turned her head and silently looked at him, not saying anything, just silently looking at him. Ye suddenly felt uneasy for some reason and averted his gaze. I. In the end, he said nothing. He felt afraid, worried. He did not know what to do. "Madam, I will say this one last time. Please step aside. If your husband is innocent, we will definitely release him." The Uzunin said with frustration. What kind of mess was this? They were still single, and this spy had already charmed one of their Uzumaki citizens. Was there no justice? Yet, Hanaka still did not move aside, looking at the Uzunin with determination. She would not yield. In that case, the Uzunin's tone became stern. "Obstructing the law is a crime. You will also be arrested under the same charges." Hearing this, Hanaka froze for a moment, but her eyes still held resolve. She would not move. If that was really the case, as long as she could be with Ye, then it would be fine. But Ye panicked. He did not want Hanaka to suffer any harm. He quickly pulled Hanaka aside and was about to speak when he sternly shouted, "Shut up!" Then, he knelt down, bending forward until his head touched the ground. "I apologize. I will go with you. Please spare Hanaka. She knows nothing." It was me. Ya's eyes showed a trace of reluctance, but for Hanaka's sake, he firmly said, "Who deceived her?" "Ye." Hanaka, hearing Ya's words, froze for a moment before tears fell. She grabbed his clothes. You didn't deceive me. I knew." But Ye pushed Hanaka's hand away and said indifferently, "What do you know, you foolish?" Before he could finish, Ye was punched to the ground. "Ye, you bastard!" A young man sat on Ye, punching him repeatedly in the face. "You bastard, how could you treat Hanaka like this? I'll beat you to death, you bastard!" Ye initially wanted to fight back, but upon seeing who it was, he lowered his hand and did nothing. "Brother Kita, it's not Ye's fault. Stop hitting him, stop hitting him." But Hanaka could not bear it and tried to pull Kita away with tears in her eyes. "Stop hitting him." But Kita continued punching Ye in the face, cursing as he hit. The Uzunin, however, said nothing, watching with great interest. "Serves you right for coming to spy but ending up flirting. Hit him harder. Hit him harder in the face." Uzumaki Jun, on the other hand, felt a headache coming on. How had such a dog blood incident happened in just a few months? He glanced at the woman's stomach. This made it even more dog blood. But what should he do? This was the first time enforcing the law, and they were already facing a conflict between emotion and the law. "Lord Jun." Feeling someone pat his shoulder, the Uzunin who had been watching the show turned around irritably. Upon seeing who it was, he immediately became respectful and made way. This matter should be left to Lord Jun to handle. "All right, stop." Seeing Ye's already unrecognizable face, Uzumaki Jun grabbed Kita's fist and said helplessly, "If you keep hitting him, he might die." Kita froze, looked up, and quickly said respectfully, "Lord Jun." Then, he immediately knelt down and lowered his head. "Please do not arrest Ye. He has done nothing to harm Uzushiagakuer." I. But he did not know how to continue. He should have known. This burly man had hit Ye so fiercely just to plead for leniency. Uzumaki Jun glanced at Hanaka's stomach again. What a headache! Suddenly, an idea flashed in his mind. Perhaps. Chapter 119, The Land of Whirlpools is a country full of tolerance. This law enforcement operation also exposed many problems. For example, the Whirlpool ninjas were not firm enough in enforcing the law. They should have taken Yoya away directly when they found him instead of hesitating and allowing a crowd to gather. If not handled properly, this could have turned into violent law enforcement. This might also be because they care too much about their image, Uzumaki Jun said, rubbing his forehead in frustration. Moreover, his own appearance was not well timed. When he showed up, it was no longer just a simple operation to arrest a spy. If he had forcefully ordered them to take Yoya away immediately, others might not have said anything, but the newly arrived population, especially the rogue ninjas, might have felt uncomfortable and found it hard to integrate into the land of whirlpools. So when he appeared, it was no longer about the law. Instead, it became something that could be resolved with just a word from Uzumaki Jun. If he had forcefully arrested Yoya, and if someone with ulterior motives exploited the situation, his image as a leader close to the people might have been ruined. In the future, he might have had no choice but to rule the land of whirlpools with an iron fist. But Uzumaki Jun did not want that. After all, the Uzumaki clan had ruled the land of whirlpools for a long time. So what had maintained the country's stability all this time? It was blood ties. In a way, the citizens of the land of whirlpools and the Uzumaki clan were all somewhat related by blood. Unlike other clans that practiced inbreeding to maintain pure bloodlines, the Uzumaki clan did not restrict marriages to within the clan. So to some extent, everyone might have been relatives hundreds of years ago. Such blood ties were extremely strong in times like these, even stronger than the law. Uzumaki Jun could certainly use his authority to suppress any dissent in the country, but that would not help him recruit rogue ninjas or even ninjas from other villages. On the other hand, if he let Yoya go, every ninja who defected and wanted to find a stable place to live peacefully would likely think of the land of whirlpools. Of course, We must find a way to publicize this incident, Uzumaki Jun muttered. He needed to let other ninjas know that the Land of Whirlpools did not care about their origins. As long as they obeyed the laws of the Land of Whirlpools and lived honestly, they could still become citizens of the Land of Whirlpools. So in a way, Yoya not only could not be punished too severely, but he also had to be protected from discrimination within the country. This way, when other ninjas were either ransomed back or left unredeemed, the difference in treatment would create a stark contrast with Yoya's situation. Some ninjas would start feeling resentment and dissatisfaction. Once this sentiment spread throughout their villages, a ninja version of the workers' movement might emerge. Moreover, spies who were discovered like this would likely be executed if they returned. The Land of Whirlpools has the obligation and the ability to protect every one of its citizens, Uzumaki Jun said with a mysterious smile, turning to Uzumaki Hibiki beside him. Hibiki, assign those spies to be led by Yoya. Also, make sure Yoya's treatment is different from the other spies. Remember, Yoya is a citizen of the Land of Whirlpools. Yes, Uzumaki Hibiki nodded. Although he did not fully understand Jun-sama's intentions, the ninja world despised traitors. Even though Yoya had not done anything to betray the Land of Whirlpools yet, betrayal was still betrayal. Tell Yoya that he and his children will be citizens of the Land of Whirlpools from now on. Also, notify the leaders for a meeting. Yes. This was the deal with Yoya. He would serve as a representative of foreign residents in the Land of Whirlpools, highlighting the country's tolerance and kindness. In return, the Land of Whirlpools would truly accept him and his children. Uzumaki Jun watched as Uzumaki Hibiki left and sighed helplessly. It seems the enforcement team must include ninjas from other backgrounds, not just the Uzumaki clan. Otherwise, it will damage our reputation. Moreover, Uzumaki Jun really wanted someone who could take the blame for him. Otherwise, it would be inconvenient for him to do other things. I wonder what Danzo is up to. Uzumaki Jun muttered. At this stage, unless something extremely serious happened, the Land of Whirlpools and Konoha would not go to war. Unless Mito died. So Uzumaki Jun did not make Danzo and his team help with infrastructure construction in the Land of Whirlpools. Instead, he locked them in a small dark room and provided 3 meals a day. Of course, there were some books inside that were very useful for ideological education. He hoped Danzo would read them carefully. When he returned to Konoha, he would no longer foolishly take the blame for everything. Sometimes, he needed to learn how to use authority. For example, by order of the Hokage, he should learn to invoke this phrase every time he carried out a mission. Otherwise, how could he become the village leader without the people's support? Konoha. Tobi Hiruzen sighed as he took a puff from his pipe and looked at Yuta and Kohara beside him. What should we do? Should we send someone to bring Danzo back? Why did he always insist on staying in a place where he had enemies? Now he had been caught, and Konoha had to step in to ransom him back. The Land of Whirlpools. Yuta and Kohara looked at the report in her hand and fell silent. This time, they went too far. No, Tobi Hiruzen shook his head. According to the intelligence we received, spies from other villages were also captured. Yuta and Kohara did not know what to say. So Konoha was not being singled out. We are allies with the Land of Whirlpools, Yuta and Kohara said sharply. This is no way to treat an ally. No, they already stated that although Danzo caused significant losses to the Land of Whirlpools during his stay there, unlike spies from other villages, he was not sent to labor camps. His movements were just restricted. We only need to compensate the Land of Whirlpools for their losses to get Danzo back. This treatment. Yuta and Kohara was speechless. There was actually such a distinction. That kid was not simple. How much? 3 million ryo. It was not much, just the equivalent of a few dozen S-rank missions. In that case, Yuta and Kohara said helplessly, let the Shimura clan pay this amount. The Shimura clan could afford it. Sigh, Tobi Hiruzen took another puff. That's the only way. This blame. Konoha would not take it. How is the Uchiha clan doing? Yuta and Kohara asked. The incident of the stolen 6 Paths tool in Uegakure had not been resolved yet. The Tsuchikage kept demanding an explanation from Konoha. The Uchiha, Tobi Hiruzen sighed gloomily. I already questioned them last time. They. Check out new story. Chapter 120, Who exactly is harming the Uchiha? Konoha. The Uchiha clan. Father. Uchiha Fugako looked at his father, who seemed preoccupied after returning from the Hokage's office, and asked. As the young clan head, he had both the ability and duty to share his father's burdens. It's nothing. However, the Uchiha clan head shook his head and said lightly, go train. Yes. Though curious about the matter, Uchiha Fugaku obediently followed his father's words. However, the Uchiha clan head was also completely baffled. Aside from their ancestors Madara and Izuna, no one else in the Uchiha clan had awakened the Mangekyou Sharingan, right? So what was the deal with this sudden one-eyed Mangekyou user? Could it really be Uchiha Madara? That was impossible. After all, Lord Hashirama had confirmed that Uchiha Madara was dead. Moreover, due to ideological differences, Madara had long severed ties with the Uchiha clan. If he were still alive. The Uchiha clan head sighed deeply. What should be done? And because of this incident, the Uchiha clan was once again caught in a whirlpool of trouble. At some point, rumors began spreading in the village that the Uchiha clan had stolen from Uegakuer, massacred another clan, that the Uchiha were an evil clan, a clan of thieves. Combined with the Uchiha's expressionless demeanor and their strict, merciless enforcement of laws, the clan's reputation in Konoha had sunk even lower. Who exactly spread these rumors? The Uchiha clan head sighed helplessly in his heart. In the village. Who was trying to sabotage the Uchiha clan? They were a clan that loved peace and desperately wanted to integrate into the village. Why did such malicious rumors keep surfacing? Moreover, due to this unfair treatment, discontent was brewing among some Uchiha clansmen. If this continued, things might. The Uchiha clan just wanted the same treatment as the Hyuga. Why was it so difficult? Who could it be? The Uchiha clan head murmured as he gazed at the scenery outside the door. Who was slandering the Uchiha? Or rather, who was that one-eyed Mangekyou user? Of course, it's me. Uzumaki Jun said helplessly. What did you say? Kakuzu looked at the boy who had suddenly started talking to himself. He had only asked why a large sum of money had been withdrawn from the national treasury without his knowledge. When Jun said, of course, it's me, did that mean? Kakuzu eyed Uzumaki Jun suspiciously. The boy had a history of this according to the former financial officer of the daimyo's estate. He had been demoted to street sweeping because he failed to notice Jun's unauthorized use of public funds. Oh, right. Today's discussion is about this matter. Uzumaki Jun coughed lightly and snapped back to attention. A few days ago, a clan joined us. Jun explained the situation with the Kamizuru clan and pointed to Kamizuru Sea beside him. Due to certain circumstances, they have now changed their surname to the Kamizuru clan. All of Ozushiagakure's higher UPS nodded in understanding. After all, the Kamizuru clan of Uegakuer had been wiped out by a mysterious one-eyed Mangekyou user. But everyone looked at Uzumaki Jun with strange expressions. Was that so-called Mangekyou user actually? Yes. Uzumaki Jun nodded with a smile. That Mangekyou was fake. He pointed to the colored contact lens in front of him. This thing just put it on, and you're set. Of course, you mustn't leak this information. This matter needed to be clarified with everyone. Otherwise, the incident where the former Uzushiagakuer daimyo was cuckolded could become very dangerous. This little thing. The elder picked it up in surprise. I never knew such a thing existed. How fascinating. What would the Uchiha clan think if they found out? They'd probably vomit blood. Not only did they take the blame for their own clansman, but that clansman turned out to be from the Uzumaki clan. What about that money? Kakuzu, however, ignored such trivial matters. After all, he had once fought the god of shinobi. A mere Mangekyou meant nothing to him. That money was loaned to the Kamizuru clan. Uzumaki Jun averted his gaze, unable to meet Kakuzu's resentful eyes. This was his fault for not explaining clearly earlier. This was all because of bad habits formed in the past. Blame the former finance minister. Interest. Kakuzu's eyes lit up at the word loan. Interest-free. Kakuzu suddenly felt like resigning. This job had no future at all. Don't worry, though. Uzumaki Jun smiled. The money will be returned soon. He glanced at Kamizuru Sea, signaling him to speak. Kamizuru Sea stood up and said, the Kamizuru clan wishes to purchase 32-story concrete houses and 3 shops. Since they had come to Uzushiagakuer, everything had to start anew. Moreover, due to their sudden departure, the Kamizuru clan's fixed assets in Uegakure had not been liquidated, leaving them short on funds. So they had no choice but to take out a loan. Kakuzu nodded in understanding. So that's why Jun said the money would return soon. This deal had potential. We hope for your support. Kamizuru bowed. From now on, they were also members of Uzushiagakure. The second matter is the nationwide surveillance plan for Uzushiagakure. Uzumaki Jun pointed to the documents beside him and had Uzumaki Hibiki distribute them. This is also an urgent priority. Elder, how is the progress on modifying the telescope technique? There's still a hurdle. The elder sighed. The crystal must be pure and natural. Otherwise, glass cannot channel chakra properly. Glass couldn't be used, hey. Uzumaki Jun nodded in understanding. No wonder Tobi Hiruzen treasured that crystal ball so much. It wasn't just because he could peep. This issue must be resolved. Uzumaki Jun said helplessly. In the short term, they could purchase crystals, but if Uzushiagakure's territory expanded, the cost would become unsustainable. This problem is already under research. The elder said. But in the short term, it might. Sigh. We'll have to buy a batch for now. Uzumaki Jun rubbed his temples helplessly. Since Gato had already gone out trading, this matter would have to wait a while longer. Truly. Progress wasn't easy. Are the civilian-use heating stoves ready for mass production? The civilian-use heating stoves were designed to reduce flame intensity, improve safety, and extend chakra duration, making them usable by ordinary civilians. Preparations are underway. Uzumaki Hibiki nodded. But we'll need to establish 2 factories, one for stove production and another for chakra energy storage. In that case, arrange it as soon as possible. Uzumaki Jun nodded. With the success of chakra storage and utilization, something akin to Earth's rechargeable batteries had been created, though the containers for storing chakra were still quite large. But this advancement represented a major leap in energy technology. Of course, chakra still had to be manually extracted and stored for now, which was still troublesome. Currently, it was mostly disabled shinobi, those who had lost limbs in war, who were charging the chakra batteries. In a way, this also solved the employment difficulties of the disabled. Understood. Uzumaki Hibiki nodded. The last matter is the issue of spies. Uzumaki Jun said helplessly. Recently, we must be vigilant against other villages resorting to desperate measures. We must ensure their safety. As for Danzo, he wasn't worried. Konoha still couldn't do without him.
Thanks for listening.